Good morning, Mohan. Can you hear me?
Yes, Manish, you're audible.
Okay.
Sir, is it audible clearly?
Good morning, Eugene sir. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Manisa. How are you?
Fine, sir. How are you, sir?
Very fine, sir. So that sir would be coming very soon.
So we're ready, sir. We're ready. Mohan is
All,
on spot, and I'm on online as well.
all right, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I think he may call you, sir. You just have to guide him alone to the MSc classroom. He may not know where MSc classroom is.
Okay, no problem.
Sir is already here.
Oh, okay,
So, sir is already in the MSc classroom and it's all set, sir.
okay. Thank you, thank you.
Mohan, can you just switch on the video? Awesome. Okay, clear.
Okay, it's very clear, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We
The
checked
students
on
will be
Friday.
joining. Okay.
Okay.
At 9:30 we will kickstart.
Okay.
It's 9:30 now. Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Morning, Eugene.
Good morning, ma'am. Eugene sir is there now online.
Money, I just thought I'd just talk to the students for just few seconds rather.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking a little bit, ma'am.
Very good morning to you, madam.
Morning, Eugene. Can you hear me now, Money?
Yes, ma'am. Clear, ma'am. Clear.
Good morning, Mr. Varun Chola.
Yeah, he's also there. He's also there. Eugene, I just quickly talk to the students and then, of course, you can go ahead with introducing Varun to the students. Okay? Can you hear me? Money?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, so can I start?
Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am. Please do.
Okay, we will start. So very good morning to each and every one of you, dear students. It's a very happy moment for us to have everyone here. And, this is the first day of your third year, and we have interesting sessions to commence with. As IHM Chennai faculty team, we are committed for your development and betterment, and we are totally concerned and dedicated to your progress in your career. So in this way, we have our beloved head of the department, Parimala ma'am, who had designed a beautiful 3-day workshop for all of you, keeping in mind that today's youngsters should be fit and fine, both physically as well as mentally. So in order to impart a holistic development, our head of the department took painstakingly selective people to encourage you and to rejuvenate and to revive your well-being. So thank you so much, madam, for spearheading this 3-day webinar series for the betterment of our students. Today we have as first session Mr. Varun Chola, and I would now request our final year student Swagat to introduce our speaker. We are glad that Mr. Varun Chola accepted to inaugurate this session. It is like first day, first show. So it is going to be a wow moment for everyone. Before we could get into the topic called Pride of Being a Hotelier, our final year student Swagat will introduce our qualifier.
Eugene,
Sir, good morning, sir.
yes,
Eugene sir, ma'am wants to have a word with the student.
just hold on for a bit. So I'll just hold on for a bit.
Good morning, everyone. I hope that I am audible and visible, sir.
Swagat, kindly hold on. Ma'am wants to have a word with the students.
Am I audible and visible, sir?
Swagat, you are visible. HOD ma'am wants to speak with the students. Kindly hold on, please. Ma'am, you're good to go, ma'am.
Good morning, students. Welcome back to IHM Chennai. I know once again we are starting on an online platform. So I'm very sorry for that. But anyways, we still have to move on. This pandemic has affected a lot.
Swagat, you can unmute yourself. Okay. Yeah, please introduce the speaker, Swagat.
Eugene sir, can you hear
Yes.
me? 1 minute. 1 minute. Swagat, kindly hold on. Swagat. Eugene sir, can you hear me, sir? Hello, Eugene sir. I think Eugene sir is having some network issues. Ma'am, you continue, ma'am. Swagat, kindly hold on, please. स्वागत kindly wait करो मैम बात करना चाहते हैं ठीक है वेट कर लो
I'm sorry about the little.
Yeah. Good to go, ma'am.
So welcome back once again to IHM Chennai and this online platform. I know during the pandemic, many of our students have lost their loved ones. Let us all remember them. And we do have to continue the same process for a while. But let's hope, since you're in the final year this year, you might have come back to college, so be prepared for that as well, and we are also looking forward to it. And just to start off on the right note, we had made arrangements for beautiful speakers, wonderful speakers, a lot of knowledge with them. Talk to you all so that you will feel rejuvenated to join back the online classes. So make full use of this opportunity which is given to you all. Kindly ask them after the session is over. You can raise as many questions you have because you are in the final year. And you can continue the relationship with them so that you will get your opportunities to get into programs as well. So we have very good speakers today for you all. So please make use of it. And welcome back to the online platform once again. Make sure you attend all the classes regularly because we will try to make it as interesting as possible for you all. And Principal Sir is today he's been held up to some work, so he will address you all sometime next week. So till then, I hope you all enjoy the session, 3-day session followed by your regular classes. Thank you much. Welcome once again.
Thank you very much, madam. So now Swagat would introduce our speaker, Mr. Varun Chola.
So, good morning, everyone. Today, I'm very excited and happy to introduce you all to Varun Sir. Varun Sir has worked for more than 20 years in the hospitality industry in India and Middle East in various departments such as food and beverage, housekeeping, human resource, with core expertise in training and development. He has worked in leading international hotels, both locally and internationally, having held various positions such as Director Employee Development, Training Manager in top-notch hotels such as Taj Hotels and Resorts, Rotana Hotel and Resorts, Starwood Hotel and Resorts, etc. He's a graduate in hotel management from SRM University and has done his master's in human resource from the same university as well. His strength lies in the ability to communicate with people, building relationships that create positive learning experience. His passion for training is clearly demonstrated during his sessions. He's bring a fun and exciting environment to the room for his clients to enjoy as they learn and improve. Leadership training, hospitality skills training, soft skills training, coaching and mentoring, human resources, recruitment, employee welfare are some of his areas of expertise. I welcome you, sir, for today's very exciting webinar. Please, sir.
Sir, you are in mute. Okay,
Yes.
now it's okay.
Now, are you all able to hear me?
Yes, absolutely, sir. Welcome, Varun, sir. It's
Hi,
perfect.
Eugene. Yeah. Now, Eugene, I'm just going to quickly share this PPT, which I have. I will view it.
No, sir. It's yet to get displayed.
So you can ask us. Yes, it's coming up.
Has it come now?
Yes, it's perfect, sir. We are able to see.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Exciting times, I should say. Now, even I am new to this whole idea. The last whole 1 year, I should tell you, it's been webinars and virtual sessions all over the world, I should say. So most of the trainings I have conducted also to keep the employees engaged has been virtual. As you know, most of the hotels, the city hotels are struggling, but the leisure hotels have come back to business. But then again, looking at the travel scenario, this virtual sessions has been the choice for all of us. So exciting days ahead. Really, it would have been very nice to see you all in person because nothing can replace meeting people. But then this is the new norm. This is just a stopgap arrangement, I would say, for a short while. Hopefully things going better. A lot of vaccinations are under test and The students and children should start getting it, and they should be getting back to the universities at least mid of this is what everyone is hoping for. So let's all for the best to happen. So today's topic, Eugene and your HOD, they've given me pride of being a hotelier. It's a very interesting topic because I've always had the pride of being a hotelier, and it's been an amazing 20 years in the industry now. This is my 21st year. Started off in 2000. So I'm going to share with you all a little bit of my stories, and then I have a small little presentation of how you can prepare yourself to get lucky in the years to come. If I do remember very well, I think I have already addressed you all in the first years when we did our orientations together. And I had mentioned there also how each one of you should be prepared or getting ready as a hotelier. Now it's exciting to see you all in the third year. Really looking forward for the next 1 hour with you guys, and then I will open up a question slot where you can raise the questions and I will answer each one of them for you. Now, shall we get started? Eugene, is there any video where they can raise their hands or I can see any emojis coming up there? Or
Yes, yes. They have this raising hands, and they can also put up in the chat box.
yeah. So am I audible, and is the speed clear to everybody? Can you all respond by raising your hands on the emojis? All right, so we are good to go, correct? Fantastic. All right, guys. Let's get started. I will start with a very interesting story, once which I heard from a real executive. See, this executive was a training manager like me, and he used to be a jet-setting global traveler. He used to go all over the world to conduct trainings. And I'm not going to mention which airlines and which city, but it's one of the top cities in the world. And he said, first time he went to that airport, he saw the infrastructure, the building, the sheer magnitude and the size of it. And it was an absolute wow. Everything was clean, everything was sparkling. There was organized queues. There were plenty of things. So he was just amazed at the efficiency of that building, and was like, wow. That was his first experience. Things went by, he kept traveling, and there were more sessions for in the same city. So he started going back to that same city. On his third, fourth experience, he explored the airport a little bit more. There were plenty of shops, plenty of things to explore within. Children's play area, activity area for adults, a virtual reality area for adults to experience what's happening around the city. So it was kind of amazing for this guy to travel around. So again, things went on a few more days. First impression was a beautiful looking airport. Second impression, he had a lot to explore. And finally, as he got used to the airport, he started exploring in his fifth or sixth visit per se. He wanted to ask something to some staff, and all the airport staff were neatly, they had their name tags proudly, with a lot of pride they were displaying that they work for the airport and the particular airline. So when he spoke to the staff, somehow it appeared to him that they were very to the point, wanting to cut off the conversation and go ahead and do their work only. Not a smile on their face. Or even if somebody smiled, he felt it was a bit of a fake smile. Then he was like, so what is a big airport? So what if it is a huge facilities? People are not friendly. People are not nice. See, that is where it gets to at the end of the day. While the physical product and facilities can be wow to start with, it always goes down to how well you understand and how well you connect with the people around you. So that's precisely what happened, and that is what I call, emotional connections that human beings have, and that will never ever go out of fashion. No matter how many virtual sessions happen, no matter how much travel stops, it will bounce back, and when it bounces back, and it is going to be amazing. Human connection, human interaction, and being nice to each other has never been out of fashion, and it is always about that. You in first years, you all were lucky if you all would have gone and seen some five-star hotels. You all had gone and attended certain outdoor caterings. We call it the OTCs. And then in your second years, you all can consider yourself really, really lucky. I don't know how many of you all actually got to go and experience the hoteliering, your internships. Traditionally, it's a 4 months to 6 months internship, but going to lockdown scenario, I do not know how many of you all had the opportunity to go for that. But even if you have done some kind of training, be it a 1 week training or 1 month, it would have been fantastic for you all. As part of being a hotelier and as part of being a hotel student in the first 3 years, to me personally, that 4 months of training, kind of sets the tone for you all. It kind of opens you up into the world of hospitality. It kind of sets you all up, and it is the starting phase of you all becoming adults, I would say, of being ladies and gentlemen. It would have exposed you to a lot of different people. So that I'm really not sure how many of you all did. So again, I'm putting these questions up. You all can raise your hands if few of you all have the opportunity to go and explore hotels and train in hotels. Because there were some hotels opening, and I do know that there were some hotels which had interns. How many of you all could do internships? Just raise your hand emojis. Not bad, quite a few. That's really fantastic. And all of you who could experience any number of days there in the hotel, consider yourselves absolutely blessed and lucky. That's what I would say, because you've experienced some kind of, getting into. Now, that takes me to the pride of being a hotelier. I'm going to tell you all the benefits that I enjoy as a hotelier. I'm going to tell you what made me a hotelier. I'm going to share my personal experiences. And on that note, since you all are in the third year now, I straight away take you and talk to you all about the program and the course and what this course makes you into. And then I'm going to leave you to introspect yourselves if you have achieved those things. Because if not in the first 2 years, you still have another 12 months time to catch up to in terms of what I'm going to tell you. So let's move to our next slide. Atiti Devo Bhava. Now this is what I told you 2 years ago when you all were in first years, when I met you all for the first time. And this is the same thing I emphasize today. And this has been the thing which I have emphasized all over the world wherever I conduct my trainings. You see, we Indians have naturally in us. It is part of our culture to respect the guests. That is why wherever you go across the globe, I have met people from 100-odd nationalities in my career span, 20 years. One thing is assured, Indians are known for their hospitality. So Indian employees are really looked up to because it comes kind of naturally to them. See, I'm not demeaning any other country or nationality or region. They have a lot of hospitality in them. But even I personally felt for somehow for Indians, it's naturally that hospitality. Because we have, from our childhood, taught that way. When we receive at home, we are taught to give them respect. We are taught to offer them water first. we are kind of what always encouraged to put guest first attitude in our houses. So that's kind of imbibed in our DNA to do service. But then you see, when you take the hotel industry, there's a slight difference. There, the guests are at home, they are our relatives. And those who are helping you at home will be your mom, dad, brothers, sisters to set up a wow experience for your guest. Yeah, you want them to feel nice, you want them to feel welcomed, and you want them to appreciate you. You don't want them to say anything bad. Like, ना, हिंदी में बोलते हैं हमारा घर का इज्जत का सवाल है, हमारा मेहमान आया है, so you have to treat them and you have to respect them, you have to give them wow. That's the kind of wow experience we create at home for them in giving them the best food that we have to offer, bringing out the new cutlery trolley, cleaning up the house, tidying up the house for our guests. All this is something which happens, and that is something which happens at a magnitude of 100 times or 1,000 times more when you go to the hotels. Now, having said that, last 1 year, I do not know how many of you all had the opportunity to receive guests and host them at home. Again, because travel was restricted. Again, because of the first thing comes to everybody's mind is safety and life. So that's something. But I'm pretty sure prior to that, each one of you have hosted a guest in your house, your friends, your family, and that is going to be taken a times more into the hotel industry. And at home, it's, as I said, personal, but with guests in the hotel, it's more because they create our lives. For example, they indirectly add to our livelihoods. The hotels survive only when there are guests. Now, similarly, I've said this multiple times, and last year, if you look at the scenario, many hotels struggled. Why? Because there were no guests in the hotel. So again, it comes back to the point, guest is God. Only if you have guests coming to the hotels can the hotels run. And only when the hotels run do we have opportunities for ourselves. And by achieving success in our career, in our jobs, and earning what we can earn, that also helps us fulfill our individual aspirations, whatever it might be. It might differ. For some, it might be to aspire to your repairing, to build a new house, or to buy that little car. And the hotel industry sets up everything. It's a lot of job opportunities. And 20 years fast forward from where I started, it is a wonderful sector wherein your pay scales are also very, very good. But then having said that, the first 2 to 3 years is going to be learning and struggle even after you get into the industry. That's when you're learning the art of being a hotelier even better. If the college sets you up to become ladies and gentlemen, if the college gives you the basics, go into the hotel, and with the learned basics, you start working, you meet a lot of different people, different faces, people from different communities, people from different walks of life, people from different countries as you progress in your career. So what happens is all this creates experiences for you in your life. Because at the end of the day, what are you? You are some total of all the experiences that you have had in the past. So you get a fantastic exposure to meet a lot of people from a lot of cultures, learn a lot of new things. You would have experienced that in the first 2 years or the first years of your college itself, wherein people from different parts of the country came together and you're all together as the first year students. So that is going to be continuing for you. And this is one industry where that happens at a large scale, much more than the IT or much more than manufacturing sector, I would say, which are the two biggest sectors after hotel industry in terms of job markets. Basically, hospitality, you're going to take in the job markets, it's growing very soon. In the next 10 years time, we are in 2021, in the next decade, probably hospitality sector will be the biggest employer across the country and in the world. So that is the kind of opportunities we are talking about. So 3 years of hoteliering. I have always considered hotel management to be one of the best designed programs of BScs across. Not to undermine the science or the commerce or any other students, they all have a fantastic program, their interests are different, but when it comes to being human, when it comes to learning emotions, when it comes to knowing how to deal with people, when it comes to the nitty-gritties of human to human interaction, there is no course better than hotel management currently available according to me. Because you meet a lot of people, you undergo physical training, you undergo practical training, you become one of the best in years before you step out there. And when I go to other colleges, when I visit other universities, I also talk to people from other courses. I always felt, you might think I'm biased because I'm from a hotel background, but I always felt that the maturity level that the hotel management students carry after their 3 years is definitely far higher compared to many other courses that I have seen. And that's something which I can vouch for from the background from which I come from, because I do see a lot of people. So that takes me to the next slide. So Atiti Devo Bhava is all of us. We are glad, we are lucky to be at that zone, I will say. So 3 years of learning, the course that transformed you as ladies and gentlemen. That's what I would personally like to call your program, Hoteliering has. So what do we learn in the first 3 years? Now, you learn a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge when it comes to different roles. When guests house, you serve them food, you take care of their accommodation, you take care of their travel needs. Now, all these are basics, which I told you, you should learn in first year itself when I did your orientation. Now, fast forward 2 years, and today I'm going to talk to you all about 7 points which you should have nailed by now. If not, you're going to catch up in this next 12 months to be a very good lady, to be good ladies and gentlemen. The first thing, Atiti Devo Bhava, engrave it in yourselves. Guest is God, point blank. Now, hotel industry is the only industry which used to tell that. Now, there are multiple other industries which are catching up, even finance and service, even financial services and retail is catching up to that guest is God. Because customer service is top priority these days. Everything is about what the guest wants. We are so much focused on what we want, but hotel management is always about understanding the other person. Because unless you understand what the other person wants, you will not be able to serve them. So guest is God. If you treat him like that, you start knowing what they want, you start understanding what they want, so we can serve them. So one of the first things that you should have imbibed as a hotelier is understanding the other person who is in front of you. Most often not, it is very easy to say, but I'm trying to make him understand, but he is not understanding me. That's where I say, if you have not learned the skill of understanding the other person, you can't blame it on them not understanding. The world is not going to accept that. Hospitality will not accept it. So the first thing is treating guests as God, meaning trying to understand their perspective of what they want, what they need, so that we can get back to them in a more precise, clearer manner, so they feel very comfortable. Typically what we would do to a God. We would never want to hurt a God. We would always want to be right as the God, if I am right in saying that, no matter which religion which you practice. And similarly, guest is God, and I want you to get into that zone of understanding what the guest wants. Now that you have understood what the guest wants, the second thing is about the willingness to help others with a smile. A smile is a very, what do you call it? It's like wearing your shirt, wearing your trouser, wearing your accessories. Smile has to be there on a hotelier. That is something which I pride upon. That is something which the hotel industry has taught me. No matter if it is 12 o'clock in the night, I might have started the day very early. No matter how tired I am, my body might be begging me to sit down and rest. But here I am finishing up the work, and I'm telling you with pride, the smile is always there on the face. All human beings serving human beings, human brain dealing with another human brains. That's very complicated. In IT or a manufacturing, it's different. It's just manufacturing or just coding. It's understanding a lot of logic and science, but then here we are trying to understand the human psychology, trying to understand the other person. And emotions can be very fluctuating. A person is happy one moment, a person is upset one moment, a person gets some news, he's sad another moment. So our guests are like that. They are not the same what you see. Morning they might have been very excited, uber cool. They might have been very, what do you call, on cloud nine, very happy. Something might have happened during the day, and they come back, and then evening maybe they are not in the best of moods. They don't want to talk. They want to be left alone. They want to relax, unwind, quieter. So when I say that about our guests, our human beings, and the same is applicable to us. When we come in the morning to a college, or when we go to a hotel for training in the morning, we might be so that's the kind of mood we will be in usually. But then you see with time, with the day progressing, our movement, we might have come across some stress. Somebody would have said something, your friend might have offended you. Your emotions drop. Sometimes you get angry. Sometimes you get frustrated because the person whom you're trying to serve or the other person is not understanding you. But part of being a hotelier is never show that frustration, never show that anger, never show that boredom, never show that tiredness. How not to show all this? Simple solution. Put a smile on your face. So hospitality is about willingness to help others with a smile, no matter what you are going through. So I would want each one of you to get into this kind of a mind frame, this kind of a setup. Am I audible? Are you able to hear me? Can you respond?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So because this thing popped up. Thank you guys. Wonderful. So these are the two things I want you to start off with. This is which is worked at the mind level. It has to be mentally engraved in us. Guest is God. We are here to serve them. At the same time, holding up our dignity and this willingness to help others with a smile. And all the hoteliers that I've come across, many students whom I have seen stepping into the industry and go up, these are the top two skills. These are the top two skills which you can evidently see in them. The first one is a lot of having patience and understanding them. Second one is about, never say die attitude. Don't give up ever. Hard work. All that comes into willingness to help others with a smile, no matter what is your frame of mind. And now this is something which you have to practice. And I can give you hints how you can practice this at home. No matter what, always smile, No matter what, current pandemic scenario, you have a lot of people who are like, oh, complaining most of the times. They are like, they don't know what to do. They feel frustrated because they are locked up inside the houses. You know, it's very difficult. It's easier said than done, but then cheer them up. Try to talk positive. You know, crack a joke. Try to make a conversation with them. Uh, because this is something which you're practicing, that goes on to the third one, which is people skills. Try to talk to people, get them out of their depressed mode, cheer them up, and for that, your smile makes a big difference. Even if you want to talk to a stranger, the first thing we do is smile. When we go to an unknown place, if you want to ask somebody something, we look for a person who is smiling, because that smiling face indicates that he or she is willing to help. So, that's why willingness to help is there. But then when you put that smile on you, it starts. So you can focus staying at your home, telling Atiti Devo Baba. And I don't know, you can prove yourself or you can train yourself with the other aspect. How many of you all have heard of this phrase? Mata, Pita, Guru, and then God, Devam. Because at home, trying to do as much help as you can to your parents and trying to be as helpful as you can to your relatives, your cousins, and in doing the small little things like helping your mom with the kitchen chores or helping them tidy up, even cheering up your house helps who are coming at home, by working along with them, or trying to clean up the house as a hotelier, telling, this is how we do it in a five-star hotels. That's these small things you can do to cheer up yourself, tuck the bed with a V fold and say, this is how we do in the hotels. A small little practice, but that cheers up the family. And that kind of, you're getting into a groove of practicing at home, or practicing to be a hotelier when you step into the hotel industry. It will sound strange, look strange for 2 days, but do it nevertheless. And you see, people will start appreciating you. You will start seeing the hotelier in you. Yes, is God, so are your parents, so are your relatives. So, start imbibing these three things. And when it comes to people skills, now that's something which can never ever be taught. I can tell you few things to follow, but that is something which comes only with experience, no matter what. And why I say the hotel management course or the hotelier program is the best, because you go to training, you meet people from different walks of life, and you understand how to deal with it. You understand how they're thinking. You always put the other person first before us. The people skills are very, very important for a hotel. By the time you are in your final years, you all should be half hoteliers, and the people skills should have rubbed off on you all. But having said that, I know the last 1 year has been challenging, and your whole second year has been at home. So if you want to practice these people skills at home, I would say try speaking to random people. Try having a conversation with a neighbor. Go up to the terrace, look up and smile at a random person standing on the terrace. Try to make a conversation. If you're living in an apartment complex, try to speak to a person whom you have never spoken to, or a person who is stared at you. It might look awkward, but this is what you will be doing in hotels when you go. You will be smiling at the person who comes at you would have never met in your life before. So try and develop this kind of people skills. Talk to them. Make a conversation. And there are plenty of topics to talk about while you're at home. You talk about the corona itself, but then a lot is being spoken about that. So to avoid negativity, if you don't want to talk about that, it's fine. Talk about the weather. Talk about what's cooking at home. Maybe, if they are from different culture, you can ask questions about where they are from, what their culture is about. trying to make a conversation and learning new things. This is something that can go away when you come back into the college and when you step in your hoteliering careers next year. It will be wonderful. People skills should be stand out. These two are the next 2 points are kind of interrelated: working under stress and crisis management. Uh, again, crisis management and working under stress. I've always seen hoteliers better at this, and for this one reason, other industries are hiring people from hotel background with 2-3 years of experiences. Because you see, working under stress comes automatically. Now stress, is it good or bad? Well, if you know how to take it, it is one of the best things to happen. When a guest is coming home, there might be a little bit of stress at home. Your mom, who's the house manager, or your dad, who's the general manager of the house, will be like, अरे ये आ रहे हैं, क्या क्या करना है? अभी कोरोना का टाइम है तो सैनिटेशन के बारे में क्या सोचना है? उनको कैसे पानी देना है to wash their legs and feet outside and come, hands and feet outside and come. How do we politely tell them to keep their masks on? All this, how do we communicate is the stress? And then comes setting up things: what food to cook, what to set up, how to clear, how to discard items. These are small little stresses which crop up at home when you're hosting somebody. You see, that's magnitude into 100 into 1,000 when it comes to hoteliering. Again, I do not know how many of you all had functions within your families. A small event like a marriage or any function for that matter during this time of pandemic. You all involve yourselves in such things as hoteliers, and then you will know there will be small little stress cropping up about multiple things: about transport, about food, about accommodation, about sanitation, safety, hygiene. And then you work on it at home. The same thing when you come to hotel working under stress, supply. We have all the materials to cook the best ingredient, all the resources, and suddenly somebody might not turn up on shift. So do we step up? So in case at your home, if you have a house help and they have cough or fever and they're not going to turn up for another 2 weeks to 3 weeks minimum. So that time your parents, your family will be under stress because everyone's working at home. Can you step into their shoes? No, love that part. Now, working under stress, you get trained when you come and join the hotel because we are always dealing with high profile guests. We are most of the time dealing with the who's who of the city. We are always planning for somebody's birthday, somebody's wedding, somebody's event, somebody's stay, somebody's tour, somebody's success. Like, we want to be the best. So there is a little bit of stress that comes up there because you have to put all these things together in creating a wow experience to the guests. So now working under stress comes, according to me, naturally to hoteliers once you work in hotels for 2 to 3 years time. And this crisis management is beautiful. You never know what you're thrown into at the end moment. Last minute, a guest might come and say, "No, I have 30 more people extra," or he will start demanding for something which you might not have in the hotel or city. So can we find alternatives? Can we find a solution to them? What if a staff doesn't turn up to work? We are a group of 5-6 people. If one person falls sick, how do we manage that crisis? Now, these are things which come when you step into the hotel and practically start doing things. So as you're handling work under stress, because it's not that you're dealing with machines, but you're dealing with human beings. You're dealing with other human brains because we are creatures of logic. We always do things and we try to justify ourselves. That kind of puts us a little bit more in stress compared to other things because we're not dealing with human computers and machines where we are coding, but we are dealing with human beings. We're dealing with emotions. For that, we should learn how to control our emotions, calm ourselves, and that's what I call working under stress and crisis management. Now, once you get into the industry, once you start practicing it currently at home, you will come to a frame of mind and you will start creating solutions for everything. And that is what I call creativity. Now, this word creativity somehow in our country is linked to creating things like, art. Now, again, cooking. If you call it art and a science, creativity is attached to a lot of cooking. But then other departments, housekeeping and F&B service and front office. Again, housekeeping and F&B service also come out and say we involve a lot of creativity because they present stuff. And again, it's about how you present things to a guest, be it a mocktail or a cocktail or the food plating. Food plating happens both in the kitchen, and sometimes F&B is involved, service is involved. So creativity comes in housekeeping, they show their creativity in setting up their room and all these things. So does it mean administrative people, front office people, they don't need to have creativity? Does that matter? That's always been the question. There is creativity in all walks of life. Everybody. How well are you able to suggest a solution to a problem involves a lot of creativity. That takes me to great legends. There's one thing which is common amongst all the great legends that you might know or I might know. Let's take a few names. Mahatma Gandhi, who started the Taj Hotels, or the current generation of billionaires, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, or you name great political leaders. For them, it is about finding an answer and finding a solution for anything that comes up in front of them. They are not people. If you look at any great people, even your mom, dad, no is not a solution. They just don't say no and say, I don't have this, so I can't give it. They always try to find alternatives. They always try to give you something different. Moms are the best creative people, putting together a meal for 5 different people or 4 different people, each one having their own preferences, trying to make things best. And when there are shortage of things, how he or she, manage work at home, being a home manager, is something which each one of you all can learn from. So, and I want each one of you all to be creative in the way you think, creative in finding solutions to every problem that you come across. Because people who complain, they always complain. They lack that creativity to do new things. People who are creative, people who find solutions, always thrive, no matter how difficult the situation is. And to put it simple and straight, we are in difficult situations. We are in times of corona. Things are going to rebound. Things are going to get better 24 months, 12 months, 24 months from today, this year, 2 years from today. So how creative you are going to be in wading through these challenges, how creative you are going to be in learning the hoteling aspects, sitting at home is going to be, danger for each one of you when you come back and when you start entering into the industry. And the last thing, which is my favorite, is all those great leaders whom I just spoke about, Jamshedji Tata or Mahatma Gandhi or the political leaders or sports people like Dhoni or Kohli or anybody, who has achieved in their life, discipline is number one. And you can ask me, discipline in what? That is again something which is common in Indian households. They always try to bring up their kids in a very disciplined manner. Now you can ask me, discipline of what? I have multiple things to say when it comes to discipline. Discipline in your food, discipline when it comes to your health, which means discipline in your fitness regimes, are the two most important things I want you to start off with. Then comes discipline in studying, which is acquiring knowledge, and discipline in practicing your skills, which is cooking or food service. You can lay the table at home. Discipline in practicing things, because you have to be a self-starter. You have to learn things yourself. Now, you should be able to tell stories when you come back to college of what you did in terms of, practicing these small little hotel tricks at home, cutting fruits and making a platter before the family sits down to eat. Yeah? That's you're practicing. For me, that is discipline in learning, self-learning, self-discipline. So I want you to be disciplined when it comes to your food, when it comes to your health in terms of fitness, when it comes to your speech. Also, discipline is very important. Saying positive things, not using curse words, being very, what do you call, respectable when you speak to another person. So discipline is something that happens in all walks of life, and discipline of thinking. So I put together all these things. A hotelier, according to me, has to be one of the most disciplined. And I can again proudly tell, hoteliering, when it comes to discipline, is top notch when it comes to all the sectors. And I've said this many times, we come second only to army when it comes to discipline. Because army, air force, navy, they are supreme in discipline. And if there is anything else, if there is one industry which comes close to all this in discipline, in taking orders from your seniors, in taking orders from your bosses, and getting things executed with a smile, undistressed, and never say die attitude, discipline, undoubtedly hotel management stands next only to army. The way you groom yourself, the way you present yourself, the way you talk, immaculate. Hotel management has to be up there when it comes to discipline. So that's for me something which you should have learned in 3 years. The first year I gave you a lot of basic things to learn, and second year I hoped and prayed, and you I would have wished if you had your practical trainings in the hotel. For those of you who have had the opportunity, consider yourselves extremely lucky, because it makes a difference when you go work in a hotel and come back. It changes your perspective, and the way we learn our theory in the final year also changes. The perspective changes when we go for an internship and come back. So now these are the 7 things which I would have expected you all to be up there by the end of final year, or you should have touched upon all this already. So how many of you all sitting out there listening will be able to say, sir, but yes, I have done this. So I would expect you to take a piece of pen and paper at the end of my session and really write down. Ask yourself a question. Am I willing to help others with a smile? Think of the incidences the last 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, where you got upset, where you could have done better at home, the way you could have reacted better to your parents, which wouldn't have made them angry or offended or upset again. Think of those things, put it down on a piece of paper, and correct yourself in a people skills. When it comes to creativity in your chosen field, I will discuss that a little bit more in the slides to come. So take a piece of paper and write down, where am I when it comes to all this? Am I creative? Am I disciplined? Am I good with people? Am I feeling shy to talk to people? And set yourself a target to talk to at least 2-3 different people in the neighborhood whom you have never met. You want to start a conversation. That's how we do as a hotel. Are we there? Are we set to go so far? Students, set to go? So have you jotted down these points? Hey, good to know that. Yeah? Good to know that. So, Eugene, are you there with me? How many hours have we finished so far? Half an hour?
Yes. By 10:55 or so, we can wind up. 11 o'clock will be our closing time.
Now, what is the time now? I don't have a clock here.
It's 10:25.
10:35. So another 20 minutes. That's precisely what the next slides will cover up. Thank you, Eugene, for giving me a heads up on the time.
Thank you.
All right, let's continue. Now, I thought about it, it's a whole different world. I thought about what might be your worries, what might be bothering you all, what do you need to this was running in my head the moment Mr. Eugene told me, that Varun, can you deliver this lecture? So from your perspective, because as I said, pride in being a hotelier and understanding the other person. So I could not meet you all. I spoke to a few of the people in the industry and few students who are in touch with me from their final years. And I tried to consolidate a list of what are the fears that the current final years have, or what are the factors that are worrying them. And then I thought I will show them the positive side of it. What is it that you need to be equipped yourself with? So I have put together the trends that are happening in the industry currently, because hotels have come a long way. When I joined 20 years ago, from polishing or brassoing a key, a manual key, today, touch key. I'm going to give you all a little bit of a glimpse into what the future holds for all of you all, where the industry is heading. And I presented, or I created a small little slide of, if I was to interview you all, to take you all into my hotel, what are those core basic things which I look in for in people when I interview? I'm just going to share that with you all, and that will kind of help you all to plan yourself, to upskill yourself in the next 12 months or another 6 months before you start getting interview calls, hopefully this year. So let's go ahead and let's look at them. So I put together this slide called The Future of Hospitality, the Emerging Trends. Now, this is one thing which you yourself should have taken interest in, and yourself, you should have been updating yourself on what's happening in the industry. But, having said that, I do know what's going on in the minds of each one of you all. It's tough to sit at home and, in college, it's different. There's always somebody after your parents. There's always somebody called the teacher who's the best when it comes to college life. Because in your college life, your teachers are your mothers and fathers also. They push you to become one of the best. Now, that's something I always feel bad that this batch, or all the batches, your generation, that current batch of last year, this year, they have missed out quite a bit on being guided, personally by their faculties. And that is something which is invaluable, which we have lost. So then I thought, okay, let me put together the list and give it to you all. But then what I would expect is take down these things, because I'm going to only touch upon these topics. I would expect to Google or type up these words in YouTube and see what this means in the current trend of hotel industry, what's happening. Because Internet of Things is amazing. For example, I would have learned 20 years ago sitting at home would be very minuscule. So that way you are lucky, because though there is lockdown, each one of you are very well connected, and you have the world in your palm, your phones, your laptops, wherein you can learn. Then it has to come from self. You have the drive to learn. So I'm going to give you all a list of things that I want you all to focus upon and understand what are the emerging trends by going through these topics. So the Internet of Things these days, voice control technology, which is looking up. As I said, I started with a physical key, then it moved to a swipe key, then it moved to a punch key, then it moved to a key which you show, you just tap on the door, and it even came to, scanning your thumb to get into your room access. And now you see this corona come and it's kind of shaken up things. You even some hotels have this technology of a QR code on your phone, your mobile phone, and you show the QR code and the door opens. These were technologies which were being tested some 3-4 years ago. But today, come corona, things have changed. They're like, oh no, we don't want to touch anything. So a lot of voice controls are coming up, the Alexa, the Siri. So the hotels are trying to implement this. The doors open at a voice command. Can the TVs and the televisions and the lightings and the air conditioners switch on and switch off with a voice command? So the voice control technologies are coming up in hotels. Recognition technologies, wherein when you're checking in, you don't have to give any of your details. It's already there, soft copy, and it does an eye scan. These kind of recognition technologies have come up in airports where you can just, do a finger scan or eye scan and you can pass through immigrations. A lot of artificial intelligence is coming up in the hoteliering industry. When it comes to technology, it's like artificial intelligence plays a big role in understanding humans, because they're constantly browsing, they're constantly doing their preferred searches, like how your Google already records all what you searched and it pops up information relating to that. So artificial intelligence in hotels is coming up. Be able to track down guests, what has been their favorite food, what are known for now, are they on business or leisure, accordingly, things popping up. These are the kind of things people are testing in today's world. Augmented reality, virtual reality, it's, okay, you want to travel a particular city, to physically look at it. So the 3D version, some of you might have experienced a glimpse of it in the Google 3D maps. So, and then I look and then I'm wowed and then I'm like, okay, that's the place I want to visit. Before, you used to have information typed out, you had photos which came up, but now you have this virtual reality and augmented reality, where you're physically experiencing how it's going to be when you approach there, and then you're going to take on. And this virtual reality tourism is also something which is kind of picking up. Maybe a day will come where you will be able to experience things sitting at home, how it will be to travel around. I mean, sky is the limit, guys, when it comes to being creative and exploring new things. And now, contactless payments is something which are at, what do you call, it's already there, I would say, but still I put it up there because a lot of new methods of contactless payments are being spoken about. Currently, you have a credit card. You might have seen advertisements where you just tap and you can control the minimal contacts you come in with. But then the future is like, can we do payments? Why do we even need to have a card? Can we do all that with our phone? Can those details be engraved into our chip? Or there are certain companies which are working on chips to be engraved in your hand, which is where you go in a supermarket, you swipe, or where you go to a hotel, you just walk in and the payments happen. Of course, with some control. But these are the kind of things people are exploring. So I want you all to go to YouTube and look up these kind of things. Type in voice control technology in hotels, recognition technology in hotels, contactless in hotels, and see what are coming up new. Keep yourself updated. Learn a lot of new things. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, and learn. That's what I put those things. Now, robots, that's already in. Some hotels, they have come up. Alibaba Hotel, I think in China, it's come up last year or a couple of years ago, where your room service personnel or your minibar replenishments are being done by robots in the hotels. That's quite amazing. The technology is at a nascent stage. A lot to develop out there. That's something you should look up. While there's so much things have changed, and the next thing is about leisure travel. Before, a lot of travel used to be business. People traveling from city to city, jet setting to go meet people, to talk. And about 5 to 10 years ago, there was something called business and leisure was getting mixed up. And today it is come into focus. Leisure is the thing. People are getting worked up, worked down, sitting at the same place, working. So they're all going out and exploring. That's why all the leisure markets in India have seen a rebound of travel. They call it revenge travel. They call it revenge tourism. And people are bored of sitting at home, so they're going into leisure hotels. But then when they are going to leisure hotels, they are not able to sign out of work because it is work from home now. It's not like I've taken a vacation and gone to a place to visit. It's like, I want to be on a vacation to get out of my house, but then your bosses are there, they're asking you to catch up and finish up your work. So that new terms like leisure and bizcations have come up. Where you are at leisure, but you are still working because you're connected to the 4G and 5G is coming up soon. So you are on leisure, you are relaxing, your family is relaxing, and still this is coming up. Now, can you believe it if I say, my 6-year-old son was asking me why we are not going out anywhere, Papa. I said, because it's Corona, it's not safe to go. But then sometimes I read news and I play news on the television, and then these kids pick up quite fast. And then he asks, but you see, and I do hear a lot of hotel news. You see, Papa, people are going out. Come, let's also go. And this is coming out of a 6-year-old's mouth, and I get very strange. And then I tell him, but little fellow, you have school. We have to teach you a lot of things. All our equipment and stuff, all your internet is at home, your laptop is at home. And what comes the reply? But your phone has internet. When the internet at home doesn't work, you put hotspot for me. So can't I go somewhere? Can't I go to my grandmother's house, sit there, and finish school from there? That's a 6-year-old's thinking. So then imagine how adults are thinking. Those who are working already, they want to go out, they want to stay connected, and they're still learning and they're still working. So your Corona, COVID has opened up to an Internet of Things and robots and greater focus on leisure. While so many of these three things are happening with Corona, there's also a different segment which is emerging, and it is only getting stronger. Eco travel. Many hotels even 15 years ago have adopted to a lot of eco practices wherein, they pollute less, they consume less. But then today there is a whole different meaning or a whole different perspective of eco travels coming up. I want you guys to go Google up and look at eco travels. These Airbnbs have opened up to new possibilities of eco travels. People are staying in villages, homestays, mud houses, staying in forest camping, and still they're connected. So, I mean, there are guests who come up and say, I don't want these shampoos and chemicals which are polluting the environment. The backpackers, the frugal travelers, I'm using the word frugal. People who do not want to spend a lot on 5-star and luxury, but looking at everything that's shining and glitz in gold, but they want value for money. They want to experience new things in life. So you have a whole new segment which is coming up now, which is called the agri-tourism, which is amazing. Speaking about all this 15 years ago, but this is all reality today. Agri-tourism is coming up, wherein guests go and stay in farms, in farms. Somebody is talking there. Can you put on mute, please? All right. So I come back. Sorry for the small disturbance. Somebody was crossed off there. So eco travel is something that I want you all to explore, and the new type of guests are very different. The demands that they have are very different. So to understand them, you should be equipping yourself. To equip yourself, first you should know what's happening. The knowledge comes first. So go and get knowledge on a whole lot of things. Now, health and organic food. This has been the topic from the time this Corona started, and this has been the thing, like, what do you call, immunity boosting foods. Overnight, your body can't get immune to many things. It should be in practice. But one thing this pandemic has done is a lot of bloggers, a lot of people posting upon traditional food. When you talk of food, I have said this in many forums in our hospitality in institutes. They always talk about the French cuisine and the Larousse gastronomy. But then today things are changing. The world is looking up to India. We have had food science much before anybody else in the world. We have had Ayurveda. Ayurveda is not just medical science, but it is treating people with food as medicine. And a lot of ancient wisdom is coming up now. People are researching, what do you call, ancient food methods. What are naturally grown everywhere. I'm also currently doing multiple projects or guiding multiple students on projects when it comes to food. Interesting things that they have come up with. What Indians ate 2000 years ago? Or one of the students I'm collaborating with is like, what were the different sweets that he ate before all this dairy and confectionery and machines came up? Before all the supply chain came, what were the native Indian vegetables? Carrots and beetroots and all only last 200, 300 years. Tomatoes were never there in India. It is much later when globalization or when industrialization started and people started traveling for trade. So what were we eating with? What were the native Indian vegetables? What was naturally here in this climate? And how that food impacts my health? And how is good food, good mood, they say. You are what you eat at the end of the day, each one of you. So how food impacts the mood. These are the kind of researches which are going on in the world. So I would encourage each one of you all to go and look up at the healthy and organic food options. A lot of things like, gluten-free food and dairy-free products and these kind of fat diets are also coming up. But at the same time, genuine research is going on into not just what organic food, but what is Indian food, what did we grow, what did we eat, and if somebody was to record all that in every district, the food varies because India is one country which is blessed with all types of climates, fertile land, abundance of greenery. If you are somebody to research that and record, a lifetime is not enough, I would say. One person can never do that. So go research on a whole lot of what different regions, what they cook, what they eat, how they do, the methods of cooking that they use. You read about a few methods of cooking in your food production in your first years. Then go and explore. There are a whole lot of new things out there. So look at all that. How do people marinate stuff? Pickle is an art. Making pickle is an art. So what we did, go explore all of it. And finally, it's not the traveler today or the guest today, it's not just about the glitz and glamour and luxury, but it's about experiencing stuff. So the local tour guides and food blogs and travel and food blogs are becoming a popular noun of the day. So explore these all options, equip yourself, hoteliering sets the platform for you all for this entire hospitality industry. So these are the things which I want you all to go through the next few months to equip yourself. Now that takes the next interesting slide in terms of, giving a small gist of, or I would say, taking away your worries. I'm sure each one of you listening there might be worried, oh, I'm in final year already. The pandemic is happening. What is going to happen to my job possibilities? Will I be employed? These kind of doubts might be there with you all. And then here you have a guy sitting and telling you all, learn, learn, learn. You will have an opportunity. So I will back that up with some data which I took from Morador Intelligence website. The hospitality industry in India is still only at a moderate growth numbers, which means the golden period of hospitality in India is yet to come. And I say this because if you look at the last point there, the consistently growing middle class in India, the raising level of income in India is opening up to a new chapter when it comes to travel. New types of hotels are coming up. People want to travel, people want to explore. And if they don't have money, they don't do that. But today, generations which are coming up, middle class income is increasing and their desire to explore places is increasing, which means hospitality industry has got an amazing future and amazing prospects for the future. And if you're looking at finances, that is what matters today. The hospitality industry tourism segment contributes to 7.5% of GDP to the government. That's a lot of, we contribute 7.5% to the entire GDP is an amazing feeling. And if you're looking at the amount of foreign tourists who are coming, because at the end of the day, they pay in dollars and it adds to our foreign reserves. You see, in 2017, because that was the best figure I could pull out from the website, I couldn't get the 18-19 figures and the pandemic, there were no travel. 2017 data shows me there are 10 million foreign tourists. A million, 2 million, that means 1 crore foreign tourists came to India for the first time. That happened. And that numbers kind of doubled from 2009-10. So in a span of 7 years, 5 million tourists became 10 million tourists. And things are only getting faster. And the next 10 million, maybe we will see as soon as the pandemic ends and the travel starts, the next 2 to 3 years is what we are predicting. And when it comes to India and when it comes to competitiveness in terms of travel and tourism, we are ranked 34 out of 136 countries in 2019 survey. So a lot of new hotels are coming up, international chains are coming up, and your Indian brands are emerging. Your Indian hospitality chains are emerging. The standalone hotels are coming up with fantastic ideas. They are learning, they are evolving, thanks to the new breed of hoteliers who have come up. So they are setting up wonderful hotels, wonderful places, and each one of you have absolutely bright future, guys. My only question is, are you preparing yourself for the bright future? Are you equipping yourself for the bright future is my only question. And I want you all to focus on knowledge and acquiring skills. So I got 2 more exciting slides which I want to show you before I wind up. So I'll go a little bit faster. Now, businesses who are looking for you. Now, if you look at current trend, the current employers, you know it. Hotels are looking for you, restaurants are looking for you, catering services, business centers, airlines, when it comes to air hostesses, cruise liners, retails have already started coming in for the last 5 to 10 years. Facilities when it comes to office spaces, the big offices, you need people to manage the housekeeping. So they are looking and hiring hoteliers. Hotel housekeepers are being hired into facilities, into big companies, which are like 2 lakh square feet, 3 lakh square feet. And hospitals have already started hiring. General managers who manage hotels are being hired to manage hospital buildings. That's a trend which we have already seen. But moving on, the future employers who are looking for hoteliers, it's exciting. Your facilities, luxury residences which have cropped up across developed cities in India like Bangalore, Chennai is still catching up, Pune. You have these luxury residences looking for housekeepers because they hire outside people to clean, but then they want somebody to manage the entire facility, their gymnasium, the garden, their children's play area, the cleanliness, the corridor areas. And then they are opening up with canteens within the luxury facilities to take care of the elderly. So facilities, luxury residences is a new market segment who are looking for hospitality people with 3-4 years of experience. Your railways under privatization. Your roadways when it comes to your bus services, they are all, they are taking the notch up higher. They are making it luxury. And so your railways, you're going to have services like what you get in airlines when they are privatized. So again, they are looking for hoteliers. Your new sports complexes which are coming up, because sports is a new, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in itself, the sports. Huge money these days. So a lot of huge sports complexes are coming up. People are setting up sports complexes like how they set up schools and institutions where after school kids go for play and develop their sporting activities. They are looking for hoteliers. Malls and multiplexes have already started looking up. And the current trend is something called co-working spaces, which started because you see traditionally you had big offices, but then today you have small companies which are coming up, startups. They can't afford or they can't open up swanky looking offices, so they go for this co-working spaces, meaning they hire a space for 6 of their employees to sit. And these co-working spaces have common working areas, a common canteen, coffee machine which everybody can use, a common lobby where they can invite the guests and they can have meetings. They have boardrooms which they can take on hire for 1 or 2 hours. They even rent out office spaces on a yearly basis for people for 20 to sit, or as little as 3 people, 20 people to sit, or much more. So co-working spaces, I want you to Google up and see what that trend is. Event organization, organizers, it's much more. People are coming up. Before, event organizers were unknown. Then came a place where only event organizers for wedding was coming up. And then came event organizers for big events, for companies. But now event organizers are coming up for multiple things. Even for a birthday party, even for any celebration at home. We Indians have a lot of what do you call, culture of celebrating 60th birthday, 70th birthday, 80th birthday, and so on. And a lot of events organizers are coming up. Small spaces, banquet spaces, as someone called as an event organizer, so one-stop solution for everything that you want to do. Now, food courts are something which you might have known in your malls before, but the trend is a lot of standalone food courts are coming up, wherein you go just eat and come back. You don't have to go to a mall to eat anymore. You can go to a food court. And then you have a lot of this Zomato and Swiggy came and shook up, and they said you can order food sitting at home. And then if you're looking at big restaurants, if they're making 60, 70,000 revenue with people coming in, some restaurants are doing orders of 60, 70,000 for only food delivery, which means a whole restaurant in itself without investing in a restaurant space. That's amazing business. So cloud kitchens are coming up, which is a new trend, wherein if you know of a popular restaurant, popular food by that restaurant, and they are setting up cloud kitchens in different districts, and they're going to give a standardized recipe. They're going to deliver the masalas in the morning, and then you will have 2-3 people churning out these dishes. They will just do the final prep and send it out. So cloud kitchens are a new trend which is picking up. Food and beverage productions, sky's the limit, guys, for you guys. MNCs and institutions have also started looking for hoteliers because, as I said, hoteliers are naturally groomed to be ladies and gentlemen. They are groomed they're equipped to handle people better. They're equipped to handle crisis situation and working under stress comes naturally to them if you worked in a hotel. So a lot of multinational corporations and institutions, they are looking up and looking for hoteliers to come up with analysts. And then finally, if you're asking me, banks and insurance people, what do hoteliers without much of accounting knowledge do? They're telling you, yes, if you have and you know what it takes to deal with a customer, if you know how to deal with people, come to us, we'll teach you banking, because banking these days are like on an app. They teach you accounting very simple. Everything is computerized, everything is systemized. So they take you and they teach you. The future looks very bright for hoteliers, very bright for hospitality graduates. The sky is the limit for each one of you guys. You don't necessarily have to work only in hotels. You have a whole lot of new avenues which are coming up who are looking for you. But having said that, I strongly recommend each one of you sitting there, please work in a reputed hotel, or for that matter, any hotel, for a minimum of 2 to 3 years, which kind of molds you, which kind of sets you up as a better person. And then there are a lot of people. Now, first 2 years, this year, focus on getting equipped to get a job, and then work for 2 years to get the experience and gain the knowledge and skills, wherein your future is going to be bright after. So that is why I put together a small slide of what I look for in a candidate when I look. So first and foremost thing is good attitude. In that I cover up most of your things. I look, does he have what it takes to be a hotelier? Is he calm, collected, composed? Does he have Atiti Devo Bhava engraved in himself? That is what I look for in a good attitude. Is he, up for challenges? Then comes your knowledge and skill. Because I want you to be a competent hotelier. Competency, which is a factors in your knowledge, skill, and attitude. Now, attitude is something which you have to work on. Knowledge, I want each one of you to have a sound knowledge in your chosen field of specialization. If you say kitchen, fantastic. I want to see how much you know in kitchen. In kitchen, if you mention any cuisine or a bakery, I will dig deep and know how much you know in your area of specialization. So knowledge is very important, guys. So whichever field you're going to choose, front office, service, kitchen, housekeeping, please have knowledge in your area. Housekeeping, knowledge on chemicals, new trends, eco products, kitchen, new concepts, F&B, new concepts, restaurants, what are the new cutlery, crockery, glassware coming up, and know the traditional knowledge also, wines, liqueurs, combinations, food preparation methods. Be technically sound in terms of knowledge. And when it comes to skill, as I said, if you had the opportunity to work for internship, you would have acquired some basic skills. But then you're going to go into a hoteliering, we hire you for your good attitude and we give you the knowledge and skills. But if you already have knowledge and basic skills, it's all better for us. That's what I look for. So if you want to be a good bartender, some bartending skills, pour water, practice, kitchen, cutting, chopping, slicing, that's what you start off as a commie training. So, practice all that at home. So equip yourself with the basic kitchen knowledge, basic housekeeping knowledge, basic service knowledge, and then you'll be set to go. Now, discipline is something which I look for, and that is something which I look for from what you have done in your schooling and colleges. That's why I check with the placement officers and how much you have scored in your academics, what has been your attendance, how much online sessions you have attended. Then if it was physical college, I would take the attendance, how many outdoors you have attended, what you have done. That's something which I look for. So if you ask me, how do I look for in a person's discipline, I have these methods to do it. And when I talk to you also, I find out how disciplined you are. Discipline is uncompromised. Creativity is something which is amazing. Again, how creative you have been in whatever little challenges you have had is something which I found out from your interview. And last, but the most important thing, which many people lack in India, being very specific, is your eagerness. You are eager to learn. I'm not saying you're not eager to learn, but are you research oriented? Are you analytical? You see the previous two slides, I asked you all to go and look up at different things, right? So similarly here, I want you to look up, what are the new, have you analyzed what's going on in what you want to learn? That's something which I want you to do. I want you to be more research oriented in asking why, when, what, where, how. If you ask students, what is Rava? How is Rava made? What is Sago? How is Sago made? What are the different beverages? How is it made? Exploring what are its derivatives. So your research, when did it start? A bit of history about it. And what are the new trends? So I want you all to go and be very research oriented and analytical. And if you ask me, who are the people who make it to the management training programs? It's those people, who have themselves with research, because we see them. If they already have the spark of researching on their own, if they have been analytical in their work and they have analyzed themselves, and then I say, okay, that's fantastic to have those two qualities and hotelier, and then I take them and I mold them even better because I give them better research topics. I make them learn more because they already have a research bent of mind. So they explore more and learn more. So as difficult as it is to sit at home, you have plenty of opportunity, plenty of time because you have time to research. Don't research superficially, reading only the headings. Get into the depth of it, because when I interview you, I will know if you have researched superficially or if you have gotten into the depth of it in analyzing it. So this is what I look for in a candidate. So I wish you all were sitting right in front of me where I could have made eye-to-eye contact when I'm drilling these things into you. But nevertheless, take it, write it down, and ask yourself these questions. Do I have a good attitude? Do I have sound knowledge of the area where I'm going to specialize in? Do I have a sound or basic skills, or can I start practicing those skills at home? Can I start washing up? Can I start mopping? Can I start cleaning? Now, these are the things which you need to question yourself upon. Discipline and creativity, you inculcate in yourselves. So finally, if I was to tell one thing as a takeaway for each one of you all, this is it. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. This was said by a Roman philosopher, Seneca. So I want everybody today to get lucky. So if you want to get lucky, I want you to be prepared. I have sowed the seed there of where, what, how you can do at home. I have given you all hope of what the future looks like. It's amazing the kind of new cruise liners which are coming up. Yesterday, the space tourism has started. Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, it started its space shuttle, wherein guests are going to go up 80 kilometers above the Earth and see the entire globe, space, have a feel of how it looks to float and come back in. See, the world is creating new types of experiences now. So luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So I want each one of you all to be very well prepared because there's plenty of opportunity. This pandemic is going to end. It is once in a century pandemic. It happens. And when it bounces back, it's going to be super and it's going to be amazing because already people have started traveling in those, what do you call, small relaxations itself. But things open up fully, which will be in 6 months' time or a year to come when everybody gets vaccinated. Limit. You will have a lot of opportunities. The only question is, are you going to be prepared? So my advice to you is be prepared, get lucky. All the best for every one of you guys. Really all the best. Right. Now I'm open. That's the session I've prepared for you over the last week. Eugene, I'm done with it. And I'm open to questions now. Thank you, guys.
That was an amazing session, Varun sir. So thank you so much for everything. And would you have time to address few questions alone, which has been dropped in the chat box?
Absolutely no problem. Absolutely.
There are few questions in the chat box. If at all you could answer one or two, then it will be of a great help.
So please go ahead and shoot the questions which you deem are which you want me to answer.
Someone has asked about robo. So if robos would enter into our industry, will we lose our jobs? Would there be a threat for the humans?
Absolutely not. The rate at which your hotel jobs are expanding and the number of hotels which are coming up, robos will make your life easier, but robos will never replace you. As I said, the first instance of that airport experience, things can be wow, but then at the end of the day, it's human to human connection. You will never be replaced. Human beings can never be replaced. Emotions can never be replaced. So there's plenty of opportunities. Don't even fear about that. If at all anything robots are going to do, they're going to only help you make things faster, easier. So as I said, if I was to tell things, when I started hoteliering, there was a lot of manual work. Now the kind of technology, the manual work has reduced, which means my time saved is more, which means I'm also enjoying much more of the hospitality. You know what I mean? I'm not just on the side of working, but I'm also on the side of enjoying the work. You know, technology is adding to ease of work. It's not replacing.
All right.
Next question.
Thank you, Mr. Varun. The next question is, between cloud kitchen and reputed restaurant, which will be better option for future as a chef? So where to start with? Would cloud kitchen be a good option to emerge as a chef?
Absolutely no, I will not say that. If you are starting your careers, I would recommend you all to get into proper kitchens and restaurants and learn the art of it. Because in your cloud kitchens, your skills which you pick up will be minimal. Because these big restaurants, what they are doing in cloud kitchens is they are sending prepared marinades, prepared masalas in logistics. Because the cloud kitchens are small, because real estate, the retail space costs a lot. So what they're doing is bulk preparing somewhere, sending it only to toss and make finished products. So your learning will be minimal in a cloud kitchen. So to start with, I would recommend you to go to proper hotels, proper restaurants, learn. But what I meant with cloud kitchen is future you can start your own business. All you have to do is, you can take a franchise or you yourself can set up a cloud kitchen yourself. That's what I meant. But to learn when it starts, please go to a proper restaurant, proper hotel, learn tricks, learn how to do everything from scratch up before you come to that level. That's the answer.
All right. Great. Thank you, Mr. Varun. One last question.
Yes.
So a boy has expressed his concern, saying during this pandemic or after pandemic, would there be a position called management trainee? Because hotels come for management trainee. So would they totally remove it off? And what would be the change? Would there anyhow be a program called management trainee henceforth?
See, I won't say the hotel will remove it. Again, because traditionally, if I was to explain this answer very well, traditionally management training programs started in India because they were looking for higher education in terms of making you or molding you into a fantastic hotelier. Nowadays, the institutes themselves have stepped up a lot on what they're delivering to their students, and the current crop of people are lucky, I should say. But still, the management training programs will never run out because everybody's learning speed is different. And if there are 200 people, there will be some 20, 30 people who will learn faster, who can be fast tracked because there is a demand for more young people in the industry. So the management training programs will never run out to start. We have not reached that stage yet. At least for the next 10, 15 years, I don't see that happening, to be very honest. Because the institutes are sending products which are far better these days, I would say. But still, those fast learners, we need to mold them because the demand or the kind of new technologies which are emerging is also much more. The management training thing is there to stay definitely for the next 2 decades, according to me. And then let's see what happens. They will come and the college themselves will prepare students to level management trainees and send them. I'm happy for that because they're fast tracking themselves, but it's not there yet. So yeah, management trainees will happen. And hotels will come up with more number of training programs. And this is advice to the students, guys. Just because somebody is made it to the management training program and somebody is not, don't lose heart and don't give up because you are unique. Your learning speed is different. For example, I was a slow learner in schools. And as age progresses and as you experience, that speed changes with changing interest. So when it comes to hoteliering, my speed changed and then I changed. But then I have also seen a lot of candidates in the hotels, they come as hotel trainees, but within 2-3 years, they qualify as management trainees and get fast track. For 3-4 years, they have been so efficient and smart that they have reached where the management trainee has reached internally, by learning quicker, learning faster, and sitting for internal interviews. That's how we do it in hotels. So yeah, management training is there to stay, but everybody has got a bright future in the hotel industry.
All right, sir. One last question. So one student has requested for your advice for those who are specializing in kitchen. During this pandemic, he feels that kitchen jobs are shrinking. So what will be your advice for those who are specializing in kitchen?
Every Indian is lucky to have the best chefs and the greatest chefs in your mothers and your grandmothers and your aunts. So this is a golden opportunity for you all to pick up and learn and create new things. And in kitchen, the kind of creativity that's coming up, the kind of foods that we are exploring when it comes to millet and superfoods and Indian foods and spinaches, skies, learn as much as you can. And kitchen jobs are not running away at all. The world is waking up to Indian cuisines. There's going to be a great demand for Indian chefs all over the world. So learn as much as you can from your mothers, your grandmothers. Learn as much as you can about traditional cooking. This is the best time. This is the best time. And then when you come to hotel, we'll teach you what the technicalities of how to handle a restaurant kitchen. Don't worry about that. Focus on what you can learn now. Do what you can with what you have, where you are.
All right, sir. One more curiosity of a student here. He wants to know whether front office department will survive after 10 years. Would there exist a department called front office?
Absolutely, it will go on. Again, as I said, people cannot be replaced. But then having said that, the new emerging trends are to have hotels which are coming up with, multitasking. But then front office will definitely survive. You cannot replace people. You will always need that department to plan things. It might take a new term, but that department will be there. New trends are emerging, but they're not replacing departments and people. Definitely not. You don't have to have that worry. And front office has a bright future. People who have worked in front office are sought after by, sought after by great companies to manage their reception, to manage their guests, and to manage their hosts, and banks are coming forward for front office professionals. Why, for that matter, I have known two front office professionals who have gone on to become executive assistants. Executive assistants, I mean, to great people, because they know how to manage schedule, manage everything on behalf of their guests. So front office has also got bright future. Yes, Vijay. Anything else?
That was a very, very convincing and a comforting answer by you, Varun sir. I think students will be now glad to look at future in a very, very optimistic way. So as we now move into the end of this session, on collectively on behalf of each and every student, I would like to thank Varun sir for his enormous knowledge, vitality, and lot of insights, thought-provoking points that you have shared. Something very, very encouraging. Your rich exposure and your international experience have definitely done more than just the justice in cheering up and gearing up the energy levels of these students. I can definitely see so much of claps are just bouncing on. It's just popping up. So much of appreciations for you, Varun sir. A lot of bouquets and lot of claps are spreading across the screen. I'm happy that students really enjoyed the first session of their third year. And the beauty is you have inaugurated this final year session for these final year students, and that is an added bonanza for us. And we look forward to interacting, God willing, if physically, if we would open up the college, we definitely would
Definitely.
like to come in person, invite you, have you in person, interact with our students. And I'm sure our students will be even more benefited through all your advices and guidance. So thank you so much, Varun sir, for coming all the way and investing your precious time and your resources in building these budding talents. On behalf of my principal, head of the department, faculty team, and students, a heartfelt gratitude and thankfulness to you forever. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
sir. Wishing you well-being, safety, and happiness throughout.
Thank you, Mr. Eugene. Thank you, and it's my pleasure. Every student, all the best. Have a rocking year. Be prepared. Get lucky. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Dear students, the link will be on. The next session starts by 11:30. So students, you can take a small break and then you can be here by sharp by 11:25. The link will be on. We are not going to close the Cisco text.
Can you log this off? Yeah.
Good morning, Ilangovan sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
How are
The
you?
link will be on, sir. We are not going to close it. In another 10 minutes, the next speaker will join.
Certainly, sir. Certainly, sir. So we will
All right.
just log out from this system, sir.
Yes, sir. You can remove the PPT alone, sir.
No, host, a lot of hosts are there, sir. We'll just close this room and go. Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Very good morning to dear students and Ranjana ma'am. A warm welcome to you on behalf of all the students and faculties of IHM Chennai. How are you doing, ma'am?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, ma'am. It's very crystal clear.
Yeah, I'll just switch my video on as well.
Sure. Wonderful, ma'am. So happy to see you in our platform. Just can't believe that you are here with our students today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's absolutely a pleasure. I always enjoy talking to students, and this is really I feel that it's the smallest thing that I can do at such a time. And thank you for inviting me. Absolute joy to be here.
We are really humbled by your words and your presence, ma'am. Dear students, very good morning to each and every one of you once again. So this is your first day of your third year, and to rejuvenate and to revive our well-being, we have a great expert with us, Ranjana Balyan ma'am, who has been touching lives of several youngsters, and her speech is a therapy for us. It's a medicine, I would say. So today we have the opportunity of hearing and interacting with Ranjana ma'am on emotional behavior in this pandemic times and tips for resilience. It's a need of the hour, and we felt that this should be offered, and Ranjana ma'am would be the right person to interact with you all, in this regard. So before we could go into the session, I request our final year student Sushmita to introduce ma'am and welcome ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Sushmita, please go ahead.
Sir, my video is visible, sir.
Video is not visible. That's okay, Sushmita. You can just introduce ma'am. That should be fine. No problem.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I thank Mr. Agent sir for giving me this opportunity to introduce Ranjana ma'am. Ranjana ma'am is a seasoned motivational speaker and consultative professional with over 14 years of experience in building and facilitating programs on leadership development, behavior skills, soft skills, and conflict resolution for executives of the middle and senior management of corporate organizations across India. She has also worked extensively in the area of personality development and self-empowerment with reputed educational institutions in India. She specializes in personal leadership development, designing workshops that beautifully integrate the principle and spiritual teachings of the East, modern management practice of the West. Her natural ability to balance a highly rational approach with her intuitive abilities it was set her apart and make her impactful speaker, facilitator, and coach. She is also a column writer for renowned wellness magazines like Vegan Come Right, Purity, etc. She has traveled across India and Asia and addressed audience from diverse socio-economic and cultural backgrounds. As a facilitator, Ranjana ma'am has facilitated workshops in leadership development, problem solving, team building, mindfulness leadership, and conflict resolution for middle and senior management leaders of over 200 corporate organizations across India. She has worked with cross-cultural teams of these organizations, facilitating workshops for the international leaders. Some of the specific programs created and conducted by her include conflict resolution, thinking win, self-development, leadership, enhancing emotional maturity, work-life integration, for women leaders of Indian Oil Corporation, self-empowerment, mindfulness of decision making, etc. As a motivational speaker, she has represented her organization on several prestigious institutions, including TEDx in the past. She speaks on a wide range of topics, ranging in the self-development and empowerment space to help motivate people to recognize and maximize their inner potentials that eventually help them succeed in life, work, and stay motivated. Some of the clients she has worked for the past include Maruti Suzuki Limited, Hero Corporation Limited, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, Honda Motorcycles, Max Life Insurance, Parle-G, Amul India, IFFCO, Vodafone, IOCL, DRDO, Burgrid Corporation, Dan Humbly, Yatra, Adidas, Ernest Young, PwC, etc. I'm fortunate to have you here with us, ma'am. We're looking forward to interact with you, ma'am, and thank you. The floor is now open to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sushmita.
Thank
Ma'am,
you.
it's really wonderful to hear a lot about you. You are so young and you have achieved so big. You have been touching a lot of people's lives and transforming. Really, it's a great thing, ma'am. We feel so privileged to have you here.
My
The floor is all
absolute
open.
honor, and I am very, very humbled. And thank you, Sushmita, for reading that entire long profile. That's really not me. It's just some work that I have done, and I'm sure that if all of us write our profiles, putting in the details of whatever we have done till now, we will also have long 3-4 page profiles. Okay, so but that is not who we are, right? It doesn't define us. I'm really very humbled. And the reason this is very special for me is because IHM is very, very close to my heart for 2 reasons. One is my sister studied in IHM Mumbai. So we've had a very special relationship with IHM. You know, I remember the time we went for her admission. Since then to the 4 years that she graduated, I think she graduated way back. I think it was 2007 that she graduated. I think so, yeah. So like long back. It's not a recent thing. But still, those form the memories of my youth time, going to Dadar Catering College, and we used to call it Dadar Catering College, by the way, IHM Mumbai, and she studied there. So that was one reason why IHM is close to my heart. And secondly, Venkateshan ji, who is the principal of IHM Chennai, is a very, very dear friend. He is a spiritual mentor to me. And we share common interests in spirituality and travel, which kind of brought us together. And we have, I've been very close and have been mentored and guided by him in many, many ways. So if it is Venkateshan ji's request, I can never say no to it, no matter what. He's almost like a guru figure for me. So therefore this assignment is very special, and I really, really look forward to interacting with each one of you. So Dr. Eugene, thank you again. And so let's get started. Welcome. I understand that this is the first day of your 3rd year. And let us make a pledge right in the beginning to begin this year on a very high note and sail through this year, irrespective of what the situation is. Okay, so let's get started. I have a small presentation to you to make to you today. So I will be, just allow me a couple of minutes. Let me share my screen. I hope you can all see my presentation. So we're going to be talking about, so the topic given to me was emotional behavior and resilience, okay? And I'm going to focus because now emotional behavior is like a big umbrella, and there's so much you can learn within managing emotions. But my focus is going to be on resilience, because that's really what we need, and that's the need of the hour, considering the pandemic situation, considering the impact of the pandemic situation on the hospitality sector, and considering that we are now, just about to begin our careers, right? So all throughout, 10 years ago, resilience was a word that we had just heard of, and it was a skill that was good to have. But today, considering the way things have changed overnight with the pandemic situation, not just in India, but globally, resilience has become a mandatory skill. And I think all of us will agree with that. Whatever definitions of resilience you know, we all know broadly resilience means to bounce back from something, to get back on track, right? And all of us agree that it is a mandatory skill. So today in this less than 1.5 hours, I'm not going to take the entire 90 minutes. Probably I will, my webinar will go on for about 60 minutes or so. I'll keep the last 10 to 15 minutes for interaction. So keep your questions ready. I think it'll be really, really nice if you ask me some good questions, and I will have that answered, so that I think we can have some interaction, and it's not like only you hear my voice, but I'll also get a chance to hear your voices. So we'll spend the last 10 to 15 minutes having a good Q&A, discussion, interaction, comments, suggestions, and that kind of thing, right? So I'm going to focus in this session on resilience, understanding what exactly is resilience. Secondly, understanding how to use mindfulness to develop and build resilience. And within that space, we will also understand emotions and how to manage emotions, right? So let's get started. Now, if you don't have a notebook and pen, I'm assuming that since you're in a workshop, you would all have a notebook and pen handy. But if you don't have one, just take a couple of seconds and go grab a notebook and pen, because I'm going to do a few reflective exercises, a few activities that will involve you to write something on your notebook. Okay, so I'm just giving you like a couple of minutes. In case you don't have a notebook and pen, please go and grab a notebook and pen. During the webinar, if at any point you can't hear me clearly, please feel free to stop and let me know that you can't hear me clearly, because in a virtual environment, you know how it is. I would have loved to come down to Chennai and speak to you face to face. That would have been absolutely brilliant. But because we don't have that opportunity, I'm actually speaking to a black screen. All I can see is just my face and a few slides on my screen. I can't see anybody's faces, so I really don't know what you're feeling, how many of you are really here, how many of you are really present, listening. So you will need to tell me if you can't hear me, or if there is a problem, if there is a question, feel free to stop and ask me, right? And with that, let's get started. So we'll start with a little activity. I'm going to give you a situation, and I want you to think about it and write down what I'm asking you to do, right? So this activity is called stranded. How many of you have ever got lost in the middle of a highway, or in the middle of an abandoned road, or in the middle of somewhere? If you've ever had that experience, you know what stranded means. I remember once I had gone into, so in Lucknow, there is this place called Bada Imambara. And the reason of course, you're from hotel management, and you might not know so much about travel and tourism, but because both of these are part of the same hospitality sector, I thought I'll give you examples from travel, because I love travel and I've traveled very, very extensively. So there's this place in Lucknow called Bada Imambara. And for those of you who haven't seen it, it's absolutely a must watch. It's an architectural marvel. And, it's a palace which has several windows, and it's like you can get lost into it. It's like a maze. So, you need a guide to go into it and come back out again. So once me and a group of friends a few years ago had gone into the Bada Imambara, and we decided to just have some adventure and go into it without a guide. We actually got lost. We lost our way, and it was very difficult for us to find our way back, and the guide had to come and help us. So really stranded is like you feel it's a place where you don't know what to do. So imagine that all of you are stranded in an island, okay? And what happens in the island? Your boat. So you're in this distant island, and you've been stranded there, and a lifeboat has come to save you. But your boat has the capacity to take only 5 items. I'm going to show you a list of items, right? And so if you look at the situation, your cruise ship has been wrecked and you've been stranded in an island, right? You have 10 minutes to get onto the lifeboat, but your boat has the capacity to take only 5 items. Decide what those 5 items are. And I'm going to show you the list of those items. Here they are. So look at the list of these items. And this is the information that you have, that you've been stranded in a distant island. And I just explained to you what stranded means. Okay, so there's no way out. And you're stranded there because you were there on a cruise and your cruise got wrecked. And now you have 10 minutes to get onto a lifeboat, which has come to save you. And you can take 5 of these things onto the lifeboat. So look at this. Take a couple of minutes on your notebook, write which will be your top 5 things that you would choose to take on the lifeboat. Pick 5, only 5. And pick it in the order of priority. What is the most important to you? The next important, number 3, number 4, number 5. You know, that way. Yeah. I think you all have had a chance to reflect and put your list down. So anybody who wants to share, please unmute and speak, or you can type it in the chat box. Which are the 5 things? Okay, somebody has put in book, chocolate bar, knife, rope, and water. Abba. Okay. Aritra has put knife. Okay, water bottle. No, put all the 5. Don't just put one. I'm not asking one. Put 5. Yeah. So Abba, can you unmute and tell us why did you choose what you chose?
Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible?
Good morning. Absolutely.
So, ma'am, the first very thing will be water, because water we need for hydration, and assuming the fact that there aren't any trees or shed, we are in direct contact of sun, so we get dehydrated very fast, and till some extent water can also fill our stomach. So first is water. Then the second will be knife, to have for self protection in case of any animal which comes out of the sea or something like that. So that is important. Then the third will be chocolate bar. So chocolate bar takes very less space, and it has a lot of calories in just one bar. So more the calories, more the energy, and we can live on for a longer period of time. And the fourth will be rope. Suppose we find an island which is well suited and we can survive there. So rope in order to keep the boat intact to the island. And the last will be a book, because when we are alone, we need to use our brain, and we need something to keep us going. So for that we need a book. Yes, ma'am.
Great. Great. Super. Abha, I think that's a good choice, and I think you have a good reason for making those choices. Right? Thank you so much. Then I see 5 things from Parth as well. And interestingly, he's put medicines, water, chocolate, rope, and knife. So Parth, if you can unmute and please tell us, why did you choose what you chose?
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, very, very clearly. I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. I chose medicines because sometimes we can get seasick being all alone in the boat. So for that we need medicines, and of course, as Abha said, we need to be hydrated all the time. So that's why I selected water. The reason for selecting chocolate was it has a lot of energy in one bar. It has a lot of calories and everything. So that way we won't be energy deficient. After that,
Yeah.
for rope, if we are in a boat and we find something in the sea which we can use for our survival skills, we can uh, you make use of that rope and knife to protect ourselves and to use it for some, I mean, if you catch a fish or something to carve it up.
Okay. Very
Thank you,
interesting.
ma'am.
Thank you very much, Parth. And I would actually ideally would have liked to hear the voices of more people, in fact, everyone, but we don't have the luxury of time. So I'm sure all of you have made your choice and you have a good reason of why you made the choice. Now, if I were to ask you one question, that which was the best choice? Now, you heard Abha's choice and you heard Parth's choice. Some of the items were similar, they overlap, but some of the items were different. So they had different lists, right? And possibly imagine you have your own list and you have a couple of other lists. And if I ask you to be the judge and decide which is the best choice of 5 things that you will carry on the lifeboat, would you be able to make that choice? Would you be able to judge whose list is better? You wouldn't, right? It's very difficult. I mean, how would you make the decision? Is Abha's list better? Is Parth's list better? Or is Simran's list better? Or is Sushmita's list better? Or is Abhinav's list better? How would you make that decision? It's impossible to make the decision because everybody's list is good for them. It may not be very good for someone else. That is number one. The second reason why you cannot make the decision is because you don't have enough context to what is going to happen. You see, both of these, when they were making their choices, they made assumptions based on the information that was available to them. So there was a certain limited information that was available to you. You knew that you're in an island. You knew that you're in an island. You're stranded there, and it was because your cruise was wrecked. You knew that there's a lifeboat, and you knew you have little time to get onto the lifeboat, and you know you can take 5 things. But do you know which way the lifeboat is going to go? Do you know what way, what is the direction of the winds? What is the prediction? Do you know how much time are you going to be there in the lifeboat? Do you know how rough is the sea? Do you know how long it's going to be before you actually reach a safe place? Do you know that is this just one lifeboat and you're going to get to a safe place, or do you have to take more transportation to reach somewhere safe? You don't have that information. There's a lot of uncertainty. And with that uncertainty and with that lack of information, you can only make a choice based on what you know. But what is important is the courage of your conviction that, okay, basis what I know today, I am making this choice. Now, suppose, like, for example, Parth assumed that, if he has to be on the lifeboat for the full day, he might get seasick and he might need medicines. But what if he needs to be on the lifeboat just for 5 minutes? That's also possible, right? Then he would feel कि यार why did I take medicines? I should have taken something else. दवाई क्यों ली मैंने? 5 minutes, I wouldn't get seasick. I had a choice. I could have possibly, grabbed some more water, or I could have grabbed a torch instead. Maybe, he was in the lifeboat. He just spends 5 minutes and he's taken to a very dark place where he can't see anything. And then Parth gets down there and he feels, oh my God, why did I take these medicines? Instead of this, I should have taken a torch. Isn't it? Why? Because he just spent 5 minutes on the lifeboat. So the medicines didn't really come to his use. On the other hand, Abha, say for instance, she didn't take the medicines because she made some assumption and she's put on the lifeboat for 3 days and she's terribly sick. And she's like, oh my God, instead of this chocolate bar or instead of, this knife, I should have taken some medicines. You see? So you don't know, right? And therefore, no decision is wrong because what is going to happen tomorrow is unpredictable. Situation is beyond your control. Similarly, if you look at the pandemic situation and if you look at where we are, and where we are means all of you and me included, we are also stranded in an island, an island where we don't know what the future is, right? And I'm laughing it out because it's not as serious as we think it is. I know that it's an anxious time. I know that we don't know what the future is going to be. How is the hospitality industry going to look like post the pandemic? We don't even know when the pandemic is going to get over and how long this is going to last. But my dear friends, this is life. Welcome to life. And the reason I started with this is because I wanted you to hit this reality very hard right on day one, that don't live in a fantasy island. We need to come back to life. We need to get off that fantasy boat and come back to reality and accept the fact that this is how life is. You only know what you know. And therefore, the decision that you have made to study hotel management, to be into the hospitality sector is 100% right decision. Many of you might be feeling that, had we taken commerce or arts or something else, it would have been easier. It would have been better, because as is, we are not able to go to college. As is, we are not able to upskill ourselves to the level that we had to. 100 and thousands of thoughts might be going on in your head, as is, we are not able to go for field tours. We're not able to actually see what's happening in a hotel. As is, a lot of hotels are closing. So I might as well studied commerce. At least, I wouldn't have been so anxious. So a lot of you might be feeling that way. A lot of your parents might be commenting like that. I know that some of your parents would be very understanding and supportive, but some of your parents would be anxious. And many of you might be feeling that, had I not made this choice, I would have been in a better place. No. Today, I want to tell you that the choice that you have made, you had made it basis the situation that was back then when you decided to join this course, basis the situation, basis the condition of the industry, basis what you knew back then, you made the decision. And therefore, your decision was 100% right. Nobody can predict the future. Do you know how the post-pandemic world will look like? Do you know what is going to be the future of hospitality? You cannot predict, right? It might just be the case that the pandemic gets over in the next 6 months and hospitality suddenly peaks because people have been sitting at home for more than a couple of years and everyone is just waiting to get out if they get a chance, So you never know. Maybe it's just going to see a peak, right? And then you'll say, wow, my choice was a very good choice. So what I'm trying to tell you is your decisions and your choices is never going to be based on what is happening outside, because what is happening outside of you, the situation, is never in your control. You only have a very limited view of the external world. But what is in your control and what you know completely is your inner world. You know what your strengths are. You know what your capabilities are. You know what your interests are. You know what your personality is like. Based on all that, you're making a choice, and when your choice is based on a very strong conviction of the fact that you trust in your own self, then even if the situation plays with you, like the way it's playing games with us right now, you will still have the confidence to sail through it, So begin your year with complete acceptance of the situation, that my happiness, my inner stability, my inner confidence is not dependent on the external situation. Because if I'm confident about myself, I will be able to navigate through life no matter what the situation is. And that ability is what we call as resilience. We will understand it a little bit more in detail and how to build it per se, but just wanted to let you know what resilience is. Resilience is not just merely the ability to bounce back from difficulty. It's the ability to accept your situation and the ability to have the trust and confidence that no matter what the external situation is, my happiness, my peace of mind is still completely in my control because I always have a choice. So say, like, let me go back to that same example. Say, for example, Parth, he lands up in a dark island and he doesn't have a torch, right? And he has taken medicines, he hasn't used it, okay? Now, in that dark island, Parth has two choices. One is to sit there and crib that it would have been so nice if I got a torch, but I didn't get a torch, so I can't do anything. My only choice is to get lost in this island. Or can I do something else that will help me navigate through this dark island? He has two choices, right? Now, ideally, the intelligent choice would be to stop thinking about his past choice and to see what are the options in front of him and to pick one option and move ahead rather than looking back. And I'm sure you'll all agree with it, right? Similarly, even now, we are in the third year. We've been learning from home for almost a year now. And we still don't know when the markets are going to open. But even at this point, we have a choice. Whether we want to crib about the decision that we took, or whether we want to actually explore what lies in the future, what lies in front of me, and how can I upskill myself, how can I adapt myself so that I can sail and navigate through the situation, right? So that is really what resilience is. So if you look at, stress, so I heard recently from like a lot of students, especially students pursuing hotel management, travel and tourism, medical science, they're under a lot of stress and anxiety because, because of the situation. Now, what is stress? If you look at the scientific definition, if you the way physics defines stress, stress applied to any surface is defined as the magnitude of pressure divided by the surface area. So if you've studied science even up till grade 8 or 9, you would know this, right? And so if you increase the surface area, then irrespective of the magnitude of the pressure applied, the stress level will come down, right? Similarly, psychological or emotional stress is also defined as pressure of the situation. Pandemic is a situation. Coronavirus is a situation. People dying is a situation. Second wave is a situation. Prediction of third wave is a situation. This is the pressure of the situation divided by my ability, my inner ability to cope with the situation. Okay, now situation is not in my control. The more I think of it, the more I try to control the situation, the higher the pressure will be because it simply is not in my control. But what is in my control is how do I navigate the situation? That is my coping ability. So if I learn tools and techniques to enhance my ability, my coping ability, then irrespective of the pressure of the situation, my stress levels will be low. And that is what I want, right? And that is what we call as resilience, right? So let me do a little exercise here. Let's take a pause. Okay, I would invite you to just take a pause, and you've been hearing me for 20 minutes now. Okay, and I've thrown different ideas at you. Possibly it's provoked some thinking in your head as well. So I want you to just sit back for about 3 minutes. Okay, just sit back and relax. I'm going to give you a few instructions. In the next 3 minutes, we are just going to focus our attention on our breathing. Take in deep breaths, become very aware of our breathing pattern, and try to observe what is the thought going on in my mind right now. Okay, so based on what you heard me say, maybe it has provoked some thinking in you. It's also possible that you're worried about what's going to be, what's going to be your future. And maybe therefore you're having those kind of thoughts. Maybe you're just thinking of today. What is the next session going to be? How many lectures do I have today? Will I even get some free time? And maybe that is on your mind. So what I want you to do right now is just stop and look at the screen of your mind and try to see what kind of thoughts do you have in this moment. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of commentary, a suggestion, and you just need to listen to it and follow it. Okay, so just sit back, keep your backbone straight. If you want, you can close your eyes. The next few minutes, I invite you to focus your attention completely on your breathing. Take a deep, long breath and exhale. Breathe in and exhale. As you breathe in, become aware of the fresh air as it enters your nostrils and goes into your system. As you breathe out, feel the hot air that leaves your nostrils and goes outside. Breathe in and let go. Take deep, long breaths. Now look at the screen of your mind. What are the thoughts that are going on in your mind in this moment? Try to look at your thoughts as if you're watching a movie. Your thoughts come onto the screen of your mind one by one and fade away into a distance. You're watching them as they arise and go away. Rise and go away. Don't hold on to your thinking. Don't judge your thoughts. Don't resist anything. Just let them flow and become aware of what is it that your mind is thinking in this moment. Now, focus your attention on your body and try to experience how is your body feeling in this moment. Is there any ache or pain? Is there anything that you're holding on? Any tightness in the muscle? If yes, let your body loose. Gradually open your eyes. Now, on your notebook, I hope nobody has gone to sleep. If you have, please wake up, and it's okay. So on your notebook, I want you to write down what were you thinking about and how was your body feeling? Whatever you observed right now, just write it down on your notebook or on the chat box, in fact. Let's put it in the chat box so that everyone else can see it as well. And it could be anything. Maybe you just felt asleep. Put that up. Maybe you were totally distracted. You were not even able to observe your mind. Put that. Maybe you had some kind of worry going on. Put that. Maybe you were thinking about what I said in the last 15 minutes. Put that. So whatever was going on in your mind, just put it. Abhinav says he felt light and peaceful. Thank you, Abhinav. Who else? Yeah, I want you to put in the chat box, how did you feel? What happened? What were you able to observe about what was going on? Come on. Calm, relax, future thinking. Super. Light and peaceful. Peaceful and relaxed. I was trying to understand the flow of energy in my body. Super. Very beautiful. Is it oh, 1 minute. I missed something. Is it the exams or the worry of staying at home feeling lonely? Yeah. No, and you're not alone in there. You're not alone at all. So many of us are feeling that way. Calm and enlightened, relaxed. It's playing a song in my head. That's interesting. Okay. Felt very light at the end. Felt a little worried about the future. Amazing. Now, whatever, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being so open in sharing whatever you felt. Now, interestingly, whatever you felt, irrespective of whether it was good, bad, or ugly, some of you felt good, some of you felt worried, some of you felt uncertain. Yeah, however it was, I felt and saw myself growing in all aspects of life. Beautiful. I felt depth of my breathing pattern. Interestingly, whatever you felt, you were actually able to become aware of what your mind is thinking and how your body is feeling. Do you notice that? And that is so interesting. See, throughout the day, there are many moments when you feel happy. There are many moments when you feel peaceful. There are many moments when you feel stressed. There are many moments your mind is constantly thinking. But how aware are we about what the mind is thinking? How aware of we about what our bodies are feeling? I don't know if you have realized this, but if I spend the whole day sitting in front of the computer like this, and especially in a work from home scenario where I'm talking back to back, one call after another, and I think it's the same for you, one lecture after another. If you spend like 4 hours, 5 hours at a stretch without getting up, when you actually get up, you feel some kind of ache and pain in your joints, etc. Right? And I'm sure we've all observed that. And the thing is, it's not that we're just feeling the pain after 5 hours. That pain has started long back. But because we are so engrossed in doing what we are doing, we're not even aware of the body. Had I felt that pain initially, I would have just, relaxed my body and adjusted the position. But because I'm not even aware of it, I don't even realize it until it becomes very painful. And it's the same for the mind as well. We don't realize that we are worried until that it comes to a point where you can't think of anything else but that problematic thought. So this little exercise in these 2 minutes, what we really did was we just stopped and took some time to see कि mind में क्या है, what is in the mind, what is my body experiencing. And this little practice is what we call as mindfulness. I know all of us have heard this word mindfulness so many times in the past, but do we really understand what mindfulness is? It's not a very big deal. Mindfulness is being purposefully attentive to what is going on in your mind, body, and environment without judging and resisting it. It's so beautiful. The reason it's beautiful is because you're not trying to change anything. You're not trying to tell yourself that, oh my God, I'm having so many negative thoughts. Let me try thinking positive. Otherwise, then there's always an inner battle. Mindfulness is a technique where only and only awareness is used as the key to free yourself from all forms of worry and anxiety. How does this work? You'll say, so what if I'm aware, but I'm still stressed, right? But awareness is the key. It's almost like, if you remember our school days, especially my school days, which was, I think I finished school in 96. So many years ago. Okay. But in those days, we would have like 40, 50 kids in a class. It was not like these days where there are 10 kids and 15 kids. Okay. And what used to happen was, if the teacher was not there in the class, the kids used to, would just create a ruckus. They would throw tantrums, make noise, and the class used to be like all over the place. And then when the teacher would come and look in the class, especially if the teacher had a powerful personality, she would just come and take a look. She would just peep inside. She didn't even have to say anything, but the moment she would come in and peep inside, what would happen? And yes, Prashant is saying pin drop silence, and that's exactly. Everybody would just quieten up. Suddenly the class would reorder itself. Automatically, everyone would sit quiet. What happened? The teacher didn't have to come, shout, scream. She would just come and peep, and children would realize that they have to sit quietly. And if the teacher was not there, then, it would go on and on and on and on, right? Similarly, the mind is like that. When you're not aware of what is happening in the mind, it will go on and on and on and on and on. The moment you become aware, you stop and look at your mind. What is this chap doing? What is happening? What kind of movie is my mind playing? The moment you become aware, automatically the speed of thoughts reduces. You know why most of you felt peaceful and calm? It was not because you stopped thinking. It was because the rate at which you were thinking, the speed of thoughts was much lower. And when the speed of thoughts is less, you're able to breathe in deeply, and when you're able to take in enough oxygen into your body, you automatically feel calm and relaxed. And that is the principle of pranayama, by the way. Conscious deep breathing. What happens when you do that? The speed of thoughts in your mind reduces. And that is what helps you to feel calm and peaceful. So therefore, mindfulness is a very powerful tool. And interestingly, it is something that all of us can practice. You know, even if you are not able to concentrate, even if you're not able to focus, even if you have no background in meditation or spirituality, you can still practice mindfulness, because in mindfulness, you only have to watch a movie. And that's interesting, right? That's very easy. What movie are you watching? Watching the movie on the screen of your mind. You don't have to fight with your mind. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to judge anything. You only have to become aware of how your mind is feeling at any given point in time, right? So how would you use mindfulness as a tool to build resilience? You remember we spoke about resilience and building coping ability. How can you do that? So let's understand resilience a little bit better. Give me 1 minute. Let me just sip some water here. Okay. So I want to introduce you to this model by the American psychologist Kubler-Ross. It's a very famous model, specifically used to help people cope with grief and to deal with loss, right? But it's also used for us to understand resilience and to deal with all the anxiety and the emotions that we are facing at this point in time. So what happens according to Kubler-Ross is, whenever you're faced with an untoward situation, a situation that was unexpected, situation that you did not really want, like the pandemic, for example, all of us go through resistance and shock. That's always the first reaction. Let me give you an example. Let's move a little bit away from the pandemic and take a little more day-to-day example. Say, for example, you're working in a company. Okay, I'm just giving you an example of a working professional, even though you're not, but I'm sure you can relate to it. You're working in an organization, and you've been eyeing this on-site project. You know that if you work well on this project, you get a chance to go abroad. Okay, so this opportunity has finally come to you, and you're asked to make a presentation, and basis the result of that presentation, they will decide whether they're going to select you or no. So you work very hard, you burn the midnight oil, you do your research, put together a great presentation and present it to your panel. So you make that presentation in front of your manager, your boss, in front of some other people in the panel, and you think you've done fairly well. By the way the presentation goes, the kind of questions they ask, you feel that very satisfied that you've done a good job. Okay, so you finish your presentation, walk out feeling very happy and elated that you will get selected. And now you're waiting for the good news. Monday morning, you go back to your desk and you find an email from your boss asking you to come to his office. Imagine it was a pre-pandemic era, so people were actually going to office. Okay, so you go into your boss's cabin, and there you see this man sitting with a very straight face, no expression, and he tells you, you know what? Let me take one name from you. You know what, Simran? I know you worked very hard, and I know that you did a great job putting the presentation together, but it was just not up to the mark. So I'm sorry, we couldn't select you. We felt that the other candidates were better. You had an opportunity and you lost it. I'm sorry. Better luck next time. This is what he says to you. He gets up from that chair and he walks away. Okay. Now Simran is standing there, and Simran, don't mind me using your name. I'm just taking an example for better relativity. Okay. So Simran is standing there in a state of shock. What happened? Because Simran was daydreaming about going abroad, about this beautiful opportunity that Simran is going to get, and there they have this news from the boss that Simran is not selected. So Simran stands there feeling very shocked, really resisting what happened. And then she decides to walk out, go to her own desk. She gets busy with her day-to-day work. Okay, and so although she's really feeling stressed and heavy, she focuses on her daily work and finishes it off, right? Now, after a while, after she finishes off her daily stuff, she's sitting on her desk, and now it's 3 hours past. So this incident happened at 8 a.m. in the morning. Let's take, for example, now it's 11:30 a.m. Simran is sitting on her desk thinking about that incident that happened, okay, in the past. So what happened? So initial reaction, shock, resistance. Then there's denial and rejection. Then she starts to get frustrated. She gets angry. She starts to feel depressed. Okay. Then now what happens is, irrespective of whatever the situation is, and no matter how evolved all of us are, all of us go through these emotions. Okay. So it's okay to feel them, whether it's Simran, whether it's Abha, whether it's Ranjana. We'll all go through this. Okay. Now, but fortunately, as human beings, we are all gifted that at some point we'll start experimenting, trying out new things, making different decisions, and finally we are able to integrate with the new normal. You know, initially last year when you started taking online classes, initially there was resistance, initially there was rejection. Some of you felt frustrated. I'm sure some of you felt happy also, but I know many of us felt frustrated. I can't go to college. I can't do any of the fun that I wanted to do. I can't meet my friends. Some of you felt depressed with online classes, but then we started experimenting. We started making different decisions, and by now most of us are integrated with the new normal, aren't we? Right? All this happens. This is a process that all of us go through, no matter how evolved we are. Now, what is resilience? Resilience, now listen to this very carefully. This is important. Resilience does not mean that you do not experience the negative emotions of resistance, denial, frustration, and depression. Resilience simply means that the time taken to travel from the state of resistance to the state of integration is really, really short. So the time gap between stage 1 and stage 3 is really, really less. So when your resilience is high, you're able to reduce the gap between shock and integration. So which means that even though you experience shock, denial, frustration, depression, you'll probably experience all of that just for a few minutes, and then you're quickly able to integrate with the new normal, which integrate with the new normal means accept the new situation, make different choices, and sail through it. If you look at that first example that we took, if Abha found that, she's in this dark island without a torch, if her resilience is high, she's not going to sit there wondering, why did I not pick up the torch? But she's going to see, what else can I do? Can I light a match? Can I do something? Can I shout? Can I ask for help? She's going to experiment, make different decisions, and integrate with the new normal as soon as possible. That is resilience, right? And how does mindfulness help to build resilience? Here's where, so just in a little bit of definition, because our topic is also to do with emotional resilience and emotional behavior. Emotional resilience is the ability to shorten the gap between denial phase and integration phase on the Kubler-Ross curve. The shorter the time, the more resilient you are. Emotional stamina is the ability to consistently be resilient in every situation, irrespective of its intensity and nature. And developing emotional stamina, my dear friends, is the ultimate doorway to freedom and happiness. Yeah? And therefore, that doorway is in your hands. You can open it, and that's what we are here for today, to learn how to open that doorway to freedom and happiness, irrespective of the pandemic situation or any other situation. Yeah, so coming back to that situation that Simran was in. So now Simran is back to her desk, okay? 3 hours later, she's recalling that incident in her head. She's remembering, I went in the morning. She remembers the boss's face. The moment she remembers the boss's face, what is happening? Those same kind of negative thoughts are getting generated in our mind. The brain is reacting to the negative thoughts that is, so because every thought is energy. So when you generate that kind of energy inside, the brain, which is a physical organ, will react to it by generating certain hormones. These hormones flood the body. Yeah, you experience a rush of cortisol in your body, which is a chemical reaction, and your body begins to feel those emotions. That is why emotion is always felt in the body. Have you ever experienced, and this is something that all of you can relate to because you're in that age, right? For those of you who have gone through breakups, when you're actually going through a heartache, when you're going through a breakup, you feel that your heart is paining, isn't it? The person just emotionally said something to you. They didn't even hit you. They didn't use any violence. But They said something and you had a breakup and you actually feel that as though your heart is paining, isn't it? Why is that happening? Because of the chemical reaction that your body is experiencing. Similarly, when you have to face an important interview or an important exam or an important day, and you're feeling really anxious, you feel a pit in the stomach. You know, you actually feel butterflies in the stomach, literally, because your body is experiencing those emotions. So emotion is always experienced with the body. And it is a reaction of the body to the chemicals that is produced in the brain, and the brain reacts that way to the kind of thoughts that we produce, right? So it's all linked. So Simran is sitting here 3 hours later thinking about the boss and thinking about that situation. What is happening to her? What is happening to her? She is going through the same experience of stress and anxiety all over again. Now, the only difference here is the situation is no longer there. Situation to ho gaya, and that only lasted for 5 minutes in the morning. But 3.5 hours later, Simran is still experiencing anxiety, stress. And this time, what do you think? Is the anxiety more than what she experienced in the morning, or is it less? It is much higher than what she experienced in the morning. Why? Because now the time she's spending thinking about that incident is much higher. And because she's spending so much time thinking about the incident that happened in the morning, when the incident actually happened, it only happened for 5 minutes. And then Simran was out of the manager's cabin. But now she's sitting in her desk and she's thinking about that incident, and she's thinking about it for 1 hour. Imagine what's happening. So much negative thoughts, so much of chemical reaction in the body. That entire body is hijacked by chemicals. And this is an emotional experience that Simran is going through much after the incident is over. And if Simran continues to keep thinking about the incident 7 days of a week, 52 weeks of a year, what is she going to do? She's going to be carrying her past around with her wherever she goes. She's going to be living in the past, literally. That incident is over. That incident is behind her. But yet, she's carrying that past with her all around the year, because in her mind, she's unable to let go of this story. And because of this habit, because of the vicious cycle that we get caught into, all of us tend to spend a lot of time in stage 1 and stage 2. And unfortunately, for some of us, we spend our entire lives living in stage 1 and stage 2, and we are never able to come out of that depression. Then this also results in clinical depression, where literally the body, because how long will your body survive like that? It is going to get impacted, right? So a lot of us, we are unable to build that resilience and jump to stage 3. We end up spending our entire lives in stage 1 and stage 2, and so therefore this is where mindfulness acts as a powerful sword and helps us break this vicious cycle. You need something very powerful to break it, because in this situation, even if you try to think positive, you'll not be able to, because the force of negativity is so much that you're not able to think positive. If you remember, take the example of breakup only. You're really going through that tough time, and somebody tries to tell you, no, think positive, it's okay. You're also trying to tell yourself, but the force of negativity is so high that you're unable to break the cycle. And we've all experienced that. Here is where mindfulness acts as a sword. What mindfulness does is it just reminds you of who you really are. Have you all watched a movie in a theater, in a cinema hall, where you're watching a very intense emotional movie on the screen and you start crying uncontrollably? Yeah, we've all been there, right? And I remember this movie, I don't know, I think it was Dangal, where even I felt so emotional. You watch the movie and because you can relate to the character, you can relate to their emotions, you start crying uncontrollably. Now, if you really want to control your emotions sitting in the movie hall, what do you do? How do you control your emotions? If you sit there and tell yourself it's okay, think positive, it's not going to work. right? Even if you have your partner or your mother or somebody sitting next to you and they're also saying, hey, it's okay, it's fine, it's still not going to work because you're still feeling the emotions. You get up, you decide that I'm not going to watch this movie anymore. I'm going to get up and go out. But even if you leave the theater and walk outside, you can do that. But in your mind, you're still thinking about the character and that movie. You'll still feel emotional. The only way you can relieve yourself from that pain is to remind yourself that, hey, this is just a movie. This is not reality. Why am I looking at it as if it's my reality? It's just a movie. Exactly. Yash is saying it's just a movie. And I have come here as an audience to watch this movie and entertain myself. That's it. You know, so when you remind yourself of the purpose of you being there and of the movie itself, you're able to just detach from it and you're able to manage your emotions. You will still feel the pain. You'll still feel the emotions, but the intensity is much lower, isn't it? We've all tried that, right? This is mindfulness. So when Simran is sitting there experiencing all those intense emotions of what happened from the morning and the insult of the boss and all of that, she just needs to remind herself that, hey, let me pause. Let me take a step back and look at the screen of my mind. What is the kind of thought that I'm producing right now? How is my body feeling in this moment? And let me just remind myself that whatever I am thinking is just a story that my mind is telling me based on what happened in the morning. You know, because what happened in the morning was just for 5 minutes. But if I'm thinking about it for 1 hour, it means that my mind is a great movie maker and I have made a long story out of what happened in the morning. And we're all capable of doing that. My mind has told me that my boss has been very partial. He has been unfair. They don't value my efforts anymore. I don't think I need to work here. I've worked, I've given all my life to this organization. Why am I, you know? So all of this that your mind is telling you is not the fact. It's a story that you are creating based on what happened in the morning. You know? And this is where mindfulness allows us to apply the full stop. So you look at this environment, in this case, it's the situation that happened in the morning. Some of our belief systems of the past, together, we make narratives, we build stories in our mind. But when you remind yourself that I am not my mind, I am just the observer, and I can detach myself and observe the screen of my mind just like I'm watching a movie on the screen. And when you remind yourself of that, and this is self-awareness, when you become aware of who you are and the fact that you are not your mind is just a movie maker, but you have the capacity to watch your mind and to pay attention to the quality of your thoughts, then you're able to put a full stop. Yeah? And immediately, you might still feel the emotions, but the intensity is much, much lower. This is mindfulness. But having said this, sounds very simple. If after this session, okay, something happens, God forbid, but if you come across, you know, somebody who insults you very badly, or you have a very bad fight with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or you have something really, really untoward that happens to you, and you try to practice mindfulness and try to calm down yourself, will you be able to do it? You will not be able to do it unless you have practiced. Because what you practice grows stronger. So a lot of us have the tendency to, okay, you will hear all this, you will like it, you will possibly agree with what I'm saying. Then you will go back and say, you know, I can't really practice meditation. I can't really practice mindfulness. I can't really do this every day. It's very difficult. You know, all of this sounds nice, but it's very difficult to implement. Okay. Now, the thing is, the more I tell myself all this, what am I doing? I am practicing. And if I'm practicing negativity, negativity grows stronger. If I'm practicing telling myself that this is impossible, that becomes my reality. This is so true. So therefore, if I practice mindfulness on a daily basis, then that grows stronger. And that is when I'll be able to use mindfulness as a tool to free myself from stress and anxiety. You know, So if I'm not practicing it on a daily basis, if I'm not practicing to be mindful on a good day, it's like learning to drive. How many of you learn to drive? So when you learn to drive, you're not going to take your car straight on the Delhi-Jaipur highway or the main highway and learn to drive over there. You will take your car in an open space, where there's not much traffic, where the roads are pretty good, where you can drive a long stretch without too many obstructions coming your way. And then you practice like that on that road, and you keep practicing, and then slowly you go to a road where there's little bit of traffic, and then you keep practicing until you've mastered the skill of driving to such an extent that you are now confident that I can drive on the most crowded highway in the country, right? So that's how you master a skill, right? Any skill for that matter, cooking, anything. You always start easy. You practice, you master it. Similarly, mindfulness. When should you practice mindfulness? On all the days, on a very good normal day, even when you're feeling happy. If you start to practice mindfulness when you're feeling sad, that's not the right place to start. You start practicing mindfulness when you're in a good mood, on a good, normal, happy day, when everything is going well. That's when you start to practice. And when you keep practicing mindfulness on a daily basis, every single day, for a few days in a row, then you master the skill and you're able to use it when a situation actually comes your way. When you have a tough situation, you're able to use the tool. Otherwise, you have the tool, you've understood the concept, you think it is easy, but you'll never be able to apply it, right? So remember this, what you practice grows stronger. So from today onwards, I want to give you one homework for yourself. Don't entertain any single demotivating thought, because the more you practice that thought, that will become your reality. So think about what you want to create for yourself and only practice that, because then that will become stronger, right? So how do you practice mindfulness? So before I go to the mind hacks, I'll tell you how you can practice mindfulness in a very simple way. There are many ways to do it, but the simplest way that I have applied is this. Throughout the day, after every 2 hours, pause for 1 minute, okay? And just start with deep breathing. Take a deep, long breath, exhale, deep, long breath, exhale, and focus your attention on your breathing. And then very gently observe the screen of your mind and become aware of your thoughts. And initially, you want to keep a notebook and pen with you always when you're practicing mindfulness. So just look at what thoughts you have and just write it down. And don't feel bad or don't feel guilty about it. Jo bhi thought se, even if it's the dirtiest thought you have, but if you catch yourself having a thought, write it down, okay? And then try to observe your body. How's your body feeling right now? Is there any tightness in any muscle? Do you have any ache? Do you have any pain? How's your body overall feeling? Write it down, right? How's the environment around you? Try to observe the environment. Are there any background noises? Can you hear people speaking? Can you hear birds chirping? Whatever you hear in your background, observe it, write it down. So this is your practice of mindful observation. Just do it for 2 minutes and then go back to your regular routine, whatever you were doing. Whether you were watching Netflix, whether you were attending a class, whether you were studying, whatever you were doing, go back to doing. Again, after 2-3 hours, take a pause. Just like you would pause and drink water after every couple of hours, take a pause, then again stop for 2 minutes, and again observe the screen of your mind. What is happening? What is my mind thinking about? What's my body feeling? What is happening in the environment? So in a day, take like 4 to 5 such pauses of about 2 minutes each. So imagine agar 4 बार आपने pause किया, 4 times you took a break for 2 minutes. So it's about 8 to 10 minutes in a day. And everybody has that much time, right? We're not that busy that you can't even take 10 minutes out. And if you do this little practice for 21 days, the reason I'm saying 21 days is because this is scientific. Science has established that whenever you want to develop a new habit, if you continue to do it for 21 days at a stretch, that act becomes your habit. So if you practice mindful observation the way I said for 21 days at a stretch, just 2 minutes break after every couple of hours for a total of 4 to 5 times in a day. Do this for 21 days and you would have developed the habit of becoming mindful. And that's when you can use mindfulness as a tool to help you handle and manage emotions in a difficult situation. Right? I hope this is making sense. A couple of other mindful hacks that I want to leave you with, and I want to give this as a homework for you to reflect upon, try this out, and then when we meet on Wednesday, I'd like to hear some of your voices of whether you experimented with this and what was your experience. Right? So apart from this practice of mindfulness that I've already told you, there are a couple of other hacks, which we call as tools or mind hacks that I'd like you to do. The first is practice to reclaim your emotional remote control. And how do you do that? So just make a commitment to yourself that the entire day today, my emotional remote control will be in my hand. So for example, if you're getting angry, observe your mind. Ask yourself, what is the thought in my mind? Am I blaming somebody else for making me angry? Am I saying in my mind that you made me angry, or she made me angry, or he made me angry, or I am angry and upset because of this person? Because if I'm saying that, I have given away my emotional remote control to that other person, and I wouldn't want to do that. Right? We don't like to be controlled, right? Even if your mother tells you 10 times, do this, you don't like it. You'll say, hey, I know what to do. Right? And that's even for the mother, even for the parent. So we are all independent beings and we don't like to be controlled. But on an emotional level, almost all of us keep giving away our emotional controls to other people on a daily basis. You always have somebody who pisses you off. You have somebody who makes you angry. You have somebody whose words can easily upset you. You have somebody who can play with your emotions. But the point is you are allowing them to do that. That is why they are able to do it. Somebody very rightly said something very interesting and very enlightening, that nobody can hurt you unless you choose to hurt yourself with what they do. They can do whatever they want to do, but they cannot hurt you. They can only hurt you if you choose to allow them to hurt you. So for a few days, practice this. It's a nice, interesting game. Practice to reclaim your emotional control. So whenever you find yourself losing your temper, and then you find yourself going into a blame game automatically, that I got angry because of this person, I got angry because of that guy, tell yourself, no, I don't want to give my emotional control to anybody. And tell me, and one thing, my dear friends, even if it's your life partner, some of you would have already selected your life partners by now. That's a good thing. But please don't give your emotional remote controls away to them. It's not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. Whoever the other person is, they cannot have your emotional control. That should only be in your hands. So practice this. Whenever you find yourself getting angry, getting upset, crying, and you find yourself going into that blame game that it happened because of this, it happened because of that person, it happened because of this person, remind yourself gently that my emotional control should only be in my hands. And I'm going to keep it with. That's it. It just requires one reminder. That's it. Just one reminder and you'll be back on track. Right? It's okay. It will happen, but just pull yourself back on track. Practice this along with your mindfulness practice. Keep practicing that from today, I'm not going to blame anybody else for my happiness because my control is in my hands. Yeah. The second practice, which I've borrowed from Stephen Covey's book. So if you haven't read this book, please read it. It's a very old book, but I think the wisdom in the book is very, very profound. I read it back in 2004. But even today, till today, I continue to use some of the teachings from that book. It is called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Okay, Stephen Covey is a great, great respected management guru. And he has talked about some very profound principles in that book. So if you haven't read it, please read it. So one of the things I've borrowed from there is what he calls as refocus your attention. What does that mean? In any given situation, even in the pandemic situation, okay, there will always be some things that are beyond your control. Okay, for example, look at this pandemic situation. Right? How long is this corona going to last? When are you going to get both your vaccinations? When is the hotel industry going to pick up again? When is the market going to open up? When are tourism, when is tourism going to pick up? Because hotels are dependent on tourism. When are corporates going to start organizing their meetings and conferences? You don't know anything. All of these things are beyond your control. So in any given situation, things that are not in your control fall under this pink circle, which is called as the circle of concern. The reason that is a concern is because you cannot control it. What is somebody else going to tell you? Not in your control. How is your boss going to react to this? Not in your control. How is your supervisor or your professor going to react? How is your mother going to react to this? Not in your control. All of this circle of concern. But in every situation, there is always something that is in your control and that you can do. All of that that is in your control fall under the yellow circle, which is called as your circle of influence. Okay. Now the question is, where is my attention? Because note this down. Where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, life grows. Where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, life grows. So life is all about paying attention. If you pay attention to everything that you can do in any given situation, your circle of influence will keep growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until one day it becomes much bigger than your circle of concerns. This is amazing. It's a very, very powerful practice. So whenever you find yourself being stressed and anxious about anything in the world, sit down with a notebook, draw 2 circles and ask yourself, in this situation, what are the things that are not in my control? Write them down. Now ask yourself, what are the things that are in my control? Write them down. And ask yourself honestly, am I doing everything that I can do? Am I doing everything that is in my control? Am I paying enough attention to the circle of influence, or is my all attention on circle of concern? And it will help you shift your attention, refocus your attention to what matters, right? So very, very powerful. So these 2 practices, along with practice of mindfulness, will allow you to become resilient and develop your coping ability to such an extent that irrespective of what the situation outside is, you will be able to navigate it with full force. Right? So with that, I think I have taken more than the time that I planned for. We have about 10 minutes and thank you very much. So this is my website, lifeuniversity.in. You might want to check it. I have some online courses. If you want, you can register for it. They're not expensive at all. I think the courses are about $1,500 or something for it's a 12-week. The one is a 12-week course. The other one is a course that you can do it in your own pace, right? So you can possibly, if you want, you can register for it. Very, very powerful courses. So that's on my website. And if you want to get in touch with me, my email address is on the website as well. My email address is also available with Dr. Eugen. So in case you want, you can always get in touch with me, write to me with any questions. But for now, I'll be very happy to take questions if you have any. So I'll stop sharing, I'll stop speaking, and it's open to all of you. Thank you for all the gestures. Thank you very much. Students, if you have any questions,
students, you are free to voice out your questions, or you can use the chat box. That was a very, very interesting session, a very triggering session, in fact, I would say. Anything that you would like to ask, ma'am?
And even if you don't have questions, any comments, your own experience, something that you don't agree with, anything, it's okay. We can always have a discussion.
There is a question
Anybody,
from
anything?
Tanvi, ma'am, in the chat box.
Yeah. Attachment is the key, is in the concept of mindfulness. No. It's the other way around, Tanmay. You're right in many ways, but you don't have to detach to become mindful. When you start to practice mindfulness, you will automatically become detached, and that detachment will not be painful. Now if I tell you you detach, it's very painful, right? Because if detachment were so easy, we didn't need to use these tools of mindfulness. We wouldn't have needed them. But because detachment is difficult and it's painful, and we don't want to go through that pain, right? So mindfulness is a tool that will help you to automatically become detached in a very painless manner. So detachment is a result of mindfulness in many ways. Yeah. So Abhinav, to answer your question, you don't have to control anything. And therefore mindfulness is that tool. So when you try to control something, it becomes even more difficult. If you tell your mind, don't think about this, what will happen? It will think about exactly the same thing. That's how the mind behaves. It's like a child. How do you discipline a child? I know you guys are not married and you don't have children, but I have a young 3-year-old. And you know what? Many times he plays with currency notes. Okay, so initially I would tell him, when he was younger, I would tell him, don't tear it. And then suddenly he would, get this idea and he would start tearing it. Now I don't tell him anything, because the moment I tell him don't tear it, he'll definitely tear it because he takes pleasure in that. But if I don't tell him anything, he's curious. The child is curious, right? So he's exploring, playing with it. He'll play with it for a couple of minutes. He gets bored, he'll just throw it somewhere and he goes away. So he doesn't tear it. So that's how the mind is. So therefore, you don't have to discipline your inner devil. You just have, in mindfulness, you're just observing what is happening. And in that act of observing itself, you're detaching. And automatically the speed of thoughts are lower and you're feeling relaxed and calm. And automatically when you begin to feel relaxed and calm, you're able to think better. So you're not really fighting with your mind. I'm worried about future. Okay, just a minute. There's somebody I wanted to take this. Placement. Yeah, I know. And it's good that you expressed your worry here, whoever has put that. I think many of us are. Don't worry. The markets will open up very soon. It's not like, see, as human beings, okay? And I'll tell you one thing. I'm a trainer. So when the pandemic hit, everybody last year, and I used to, so my work was, I used to get called for leadership development trainings to corporates. And I used to travel a lot, just kept traveling all my life, literally. I would deliver workshops, different kinds of workshops, interact with different audiences, and I get paid for that, right? That's my work and that's my life. Now, when the pandemic struck, so many companies got affected, business got affected, budgets were cut. And in corporates, when the budgets are cut, the first budget that is cut is training and development. Okay, nobody really bothers about training and development when people don't have money to pay salaries. So everybody in my circles, a lot of my trainer friends actually left training as a career, took on something else. They started giving tuitions. Some of them took on corporate jobs in some totally other field, not even in learning and development. Did something else. Some of them joined HR. Some of them went for higher studies. My own husband also told me that, who's going to pay you as a trainer now? People don't have money to even pay salaries. So why would they call a leadership development trainer and pay them thousands of rupees for just, it's not going to work. We'll need to think of something else. But inside, I had the confidence that, see, training as a field, okay, that's okay. That for the first couple of years of this pandemic, I may not make much money. That is okay. I can still eat. It's not like if I don't make money, I'm going to, starve and go to death. But the thing is, this is the time when people are stressed, when people are under pressure, when people are confused, is the time when they need a trainer. In happy times, even if you don't do leadership development, it's okay. But in crisis times, in stressful times, is when people really need a trainer who can help them out in navigating the situation. So I felt confident that this is the time when I'm most needed. It's okay that I may not get paid as much. That is okay. But I never for once believed that the demand for my field is gone. And because I didn't believe it, I continued to do what I was doing. And that's when I founded Life University. Of course, I went online. I had to reinvent myself. I had to learn new skills. But then I was still very much into training and development. And it's worked very fine. And now things have changed. All the trainings I do are virtual, but now people definitely I'm getting a lot of workshops and assignments, and it's picked up back. It's the same thing for hospitality. People, human beings cannot live without travel, no matter what you say. You know, we all have to get out. We all have to go to places. So it will pick up. It's just a matter of time. You know, and even if the pandemic continues for a while, you would have noticed this. See, last year during the lockdown, people were not even moving out. This year during the lockdown, even though there were severe restrictions, people are still outside. You know, it was not like last year. And it's going to happen. You know, business houses have started business again. People have started traveling for business again. There's going to be a lot of innovation. There's going to be a lot of care and hygiene and stuff like that in the hotel industry that's going to come up. It's going to be new, the whole way of working. But I don't believe that this industry is going to go for a toss. It can never happen. It's just a matter of time. Maybe you may not get placed at a very high salary or your expectation this year or the next year. But in about a couple of years' time, it's going to all go back to normal, possibly even better than what it was before. So don't lose hope. That's number one. Number two, be open for your options. It's okay if you don't get placed in a hotel for a change. It's okay. There are so many other things that have come up. Look at entrepreneurship. Look at what new can you do. Look at if you can use these skill sets in a different industry. There are umpteen options. If you open your mind and don't be closed into just one thing, you will find those options, right? So the options are unlimited and everything is wonderful and beautiful. It will all be well. So just be focused on what you have to do and be relaxed, right? And don't believe that things are going to be bad or people are losing their jobs. Just don't believe it. It's okay. If they're losing, it's fine. It's just temporary. They'll all be back again, right? Okay. Anything else? I'm just reading the comments. Give me a minute. Just picking up if there's something important and something that I have to answer. You said I'll be subscribing. Yeah, again, this is about placement. And if you don't get a placement, what happens? See, number one, don't have any unrealistic. Positive thinking is not about having unrealistic expectations. Somebody is dying of cancer. Positive thinking does not mean to say that this guy doesn't have cancer. That's not positive thinking. That's stupidity, right? But positive thinking means, yes, he has cancer. Accept the fact. Yes, it is in the last stage. Yes, doctor has said that he only has a few months to survive. But can I make the most of these few months? And I know of a person let me tell you that incident. Dr. Eugene, is it okay if I exceed like a couple of minutes?
Absolutely, ma'am. It's very interesting. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So I just want to tell you the story. Okay, one of my colleagues, and this is a true incident, he had in the previous organization that I was working with, and I worked for 10 years in that company, in that organization. So he was suffering. He was an electrical engineer, okay, and he was a young chap, a couple of years older to me. He was suffering from blood cancer, and it was in stage 4. This was when I met him in 2004. But this guy was very happy all the time, laughing, cheering, and somebody told me that he's going through chemotherapy because he was bald, okay? And he's going through chemotherapy and he's in stage 4 cancer. And when I actually learned about it, that he's in stage 4 cancer, I was like very, very surprised and overwhelmed that, how can somebody in stage 4 cancer be, and he was the only child of his parents, only son, okay? They didn't have any other child. So how can he be so happy? And I asked, and it seems the doctor had told him that the maximum he will have is 6 months, not more than that. And so one day I casually asked him, his name was Bhavtosh, and I asked him, Bhavtosh, what is it that keeps you so happy? I'm just very inspired. that you know that you're in stage 4 and you're young, your parents don't have any other support. So what is it that is keeping you so happy? And he said that I'll tell you something simple. All of us will die one day, right? You will also die. Even if you don't have cancer, you'll die. You agree? I said, yeah, of course. He said, do you know when you're going to die? I said, I said, obviously, I don't know, right? He said, okay, do you have a guarantee that you will die after me? That was a very, and it was very like funny. I said, don't be funny, okay? He's like, no, you can die tomorrow also, right? So all of us are going to die. That's the fact. We don't know when we are going to die. Any of us can die tomorrow also. God forbid, but that is a possibility, right? There's nothing wrong in it if you say that. So he said, for all of us, we don't know when we are going to die. So it's almost like when you're working in a company, when you're working in an organization, some people, some companies, before retrenching people, if the company is not doing well, like even in the pandemic, some good organizations tell people that you have the last 1 month, so better go and find yourself a job. And some companies just announce overnight that, we don't have any money to pay salaries. So from tomorrow, this is going to shut and get out. So some people don't get any notice. Some people get notice. The people who get notice are lucky because they have that 1 month to prepare or that 2 months to prepare. People who don't get any notice and are thrown away overnight, they are left stranded. So he said that I feel very happy that I have got notice. I know that I'm going to survive for 6 months. Doctor has told ki 6 mahine to main rahunga. So because I feel I'm lucky and you guys don't even have notice, right? You don't know when you're going to go. Now I have noticed that I'm going to survive for the next 6 months. So I have decided that every day of those 6 months is going to be the happiest day of my life. And that was so inspiring. And I'll tell you, with that attitude, that guy survived for 5 years. He died in, I think, 2013, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, he died. We lost him. But he died after 5 years. Doctors had said he can't survive beyond 6 months. And he died after 5 years. So that was positive thinking at its peak. And it was not like he believed he didn't have cancer or he believed that I'm all right. No, he accepted that I have cancer. He did everything that he needed to do to take care of that cancer. So it was not like anyway I'm going to die, so why should I eat medicines? No, he was taking his chemotherapy, he was eating his medicines, he was following a very strict diet regime, but he was happy. And that was the whole deal. So even when he went, he was very mentally prepared. His parents were prepared. I didn't see one single tear in his mother's eyes because she was so prepared and strong, and because he had managed to prepare them. That is positive thinking, So this whole thing about placement. So positive thinking does not mean that you're saying that, even if the industry is bad, I'm going to get placed tomorrow. That's not positive thinking. You've accepted that, okay, this is the pandemic situation. None of my friends have got placed in the last couple of years, in the hotels at least. No hotel has come to campus, and even I'm not going to find a placement in the campus. Fair enough. And I accept that. But does that mean I'm not going to, does that mean that it's the end of my life? Don't I have any other options? I have other options. Can I look at working in a corporate for a couple of years and then move into the hotels? Can I look at entrepreneurship? Can I look at upskilling myself? Can I look at, and nowadays even starting a business is very easy. It's not like, how it was earlier. Cloud kitchen and this and that, and there's so much. Can I look at working in retail? Can I look at something else? Can I look at going for some higher studies? There are so many options, multitude of options. And when you start opening your mind towards these options, you automatically begin to be happy because you see so many options and you don't no longer feel that this is the end of the world. So that is positive thinking. Positive thinking is complete acceptance of your situation and your environment and then doing whatever you can do, focusing on your circle of influence. Remember, there's always something that you can do. As long as you're doing that, you're sorted. Positive thinking is not about telling yourself that I don't have any problem and there is nothing going on in the world, everything is good. That's not positive thinking, right? So I hope that clarifies and answers your question. So don't go into shock. Use this tool. Go into integration. Integrate with the new normal. So yeah, I think we're above time, and I don't want to extend time. I'll let you go. We'll meet again on Wednesday. If you have any questions, keep them for Wednesday. We can take a few questions on Wednesday as well. And otherwise, you can always email me and we'll be in touch. Wishing you all the very best. See you again on Wednesday. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a very inspiring lecture by you. In fact, it kept on you engaged us so well, and it was by the comments that the students had given. Many have commented that they were worried, and after hearing to you, they have moved from that zone to an awareness zone. They were very discouraged, and now they are so very encouraged. So there has been a lot of positivity that you have instilled, ma'am.
Thank you very
Happy
much.
that
My
my
pleasure.
students are so well prepared. Yes, ma'am. This lecture has definitely been really, really successful in that there has been a change. You have touched everyone's heart. So thank you so much, ma'am. You can look at the claps and you can look at the comments.
Yeah,
it's just
thank you very
pouring in onto
much.
the screen.
Very, very humbled.
So that suffices.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving us the space to interact with you. Yes, we will once again meet on Wednesday, ma'am. Wishing you a
Wednesday. And
great
you'll send me the link, right? That'll be a different link,
yes.
or is it the same link?
Yes, I'll be sending.
You'll send
It's
it
the
to me.
same link, ma'am. It's the same link which
Okay.
we're using for all the 3 days. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, dear students, for joining for both the sessions. It has been successful only because of all your joining. We will again check with your faculties for the afternoon session. If it is not there, then we will once again meet tomorrow for yet another new session. So we will connect very soon. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you very much.